Yeah, bruv, the game ain't hard when you got the trump card. It's all rigged and I'm calling more games than Bob Uecker. Changing the outcomes like Duke Nukem to a new future. Win some, lose some, bag some, choose none. Will the aliens come save the day? Are we going to listen to what they say? The uranium, cranium, aliens popping up like circadians. Got me spontaneously training in the Palladium gymnasium. Ultimate battle in the extraterrestrial stadium. It really just be the Mediterranean and Sylvanians. Bloodlines, overtime, dragon descendants. Scripting bread and circus lizards in attendance. Serpent queens, breaking dreams, dragging me down. The underworld royalty is all about how much you can clown. I'm talking about the number 9-2. If you didn't know, well now you do. Numerous fears, what's in the hearse? I am who I am, man with a plan. Where you at with the rebellion? 1 in a million, us against a billionaire reptilians. Look at the word rebellion, spells out the same as the rebel lion. Ain't even trying, ain't living, you're dying. Well done to the skeleton, no time for the rebellion. Strawmen led by spellmen, dialectic Hegelian. Everyone's worked up waiting for the aliens. Problem, reaction, solution, little contribution. The script tells that they cast spells like nuclear fusion. Spreading confusion, lie distribution. Old as hell, ain't even some new shit.
Will the radium, cranium, aliens popping up like circadians. Got me spontaneously training in the Palladium gymnasium. Ultimate battle in the extraterrestrial stadium. It really just be the Mediterranean Transylvanians.
Welcome back, ballers.
The uranium, cranium, aliens popping up like circadians. Got me spontaneously training in the Palladium gymnasium. Ultimate battle in the extraterrestrial stadium. It really just be the Mediterranean Transylvanians. Will the aliens come save the day? Are we gonna listen to what they say?
What's up, everybody? Happy Tuesday, everybody. Can you guys hear me okay? Welcome back, ballers, to episode 23 of Eye to Eye with AJ, Rambo, and Cody. As I always say, my favorite night of the week. Thank you guys all for joining. Just a heads up, Cody, just want to let you know, typically the last couple of weeks now, we've been able to get this live stream connected and broadcasted on your channel as well. I did get some sort of error message right when I hit the go live button. So I'm not sure if I don't know if it's too late or if there's something on the back end on your end. If you just kind of look at your settings, you might be able to reconnect it. So
something went wrong with the stream. I don't know what happened there. It was connected.
It was.
I don't know why. Hold on.
Yeah, I'm not sure either. Just wanted to give you a heads up on that. If not, no worries. I just know it helps just reach a broader audience when we're able to do that. So hello, Birdie Bear. She says, blessings, Cody. He or she. Coffee Girl, good to see you as always. Thank you, Quantum, for confirming that you can hear us. I could hear you, Cody. Rambo, you out there, my friend? Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Beautiful. Sure can. Where was that one comment? No, Sports Lounge, we did not get raptured. So, no, you guys, typically we start a couple minutes late. I mean, being punctual is important, but apologies. I had some issues with my mic. No big deal. We're good to go. Welcome back, everybody. Thanks again, you guys, for tuning in. So to kick things off, let's knock out a couple intros. Cody, we'll start with you, my friend. Please let the audience know where people can find you and support you, my friend.
Thanks again to both you guys for being here with me and this great stream we do every Tuesday. And thanks to everyone in the chat for showing up on the weekly basis. And if you guys want to find me, it's usually we're streaming this live. I'm going to try to fix that, but Decoding with Cody on YouTube. And if you want to support the channel, it's at buymeacoffee.com/decoding with Cody. And ready to see what we can get into here tonight.
Yeah, and
Yeah, sorry, Rambo. No, my mic was muted. I was just telling Cody I got to update his slide because you shot up quite a few thousand followers over the last month and a half just with all the hard work you've been putting in with your content. So I just wanted to shout you out for that.
Yeah, it's about 15 now. So
yeah, good for you, man. Let's keep that growing. So for anybody that's not familiar with Cody, please make sure to give him a sub. Appreciate you guys. Rambo, off to you, my friend.
Yeah, thanks for putting this together again, and I look forward to collaborating once again. Thank you, Cody, for being here, as well, and for sharing your great knowledge. If anyone wants to find my work, it is at patreon.com/thetruthcodes. There's only one tier, a $5 tier, $5 a month, that's all. And you have access to the Codebreaker community server where you see the great contributions of other members. And I'm also at instagram.com/thetruthcodes.
Thank you, Rambo. Appreciate that. Looks like King Cornelius already has the lyrics memorized. Uranium, titanium, the stadium, shaking your cranium. I'm glad some of you guys out there like it. But yeah, it's always great to see you as well, Rambo. Thank you again for joining. I know that we have some content we're going to review of yours that's been popping out on the Patreon. Once again, you guys, $5 a month, best $5 you'll ever spend. For those that aren't familiar with me, my name's AJ, Balll Don't Lie, 3 L's in Ball. I've written 10 books so far, my first one being by far the largest, but really been on a kick of right now mini books, working on my 11th about Charlie Kirk, which I think is great because, he obviously died at the age of 31, the 11th prime. So the stars are aligning with that one. But there's always more and more coming out with this Charlie Kirk stuff, all the way up to the World Series at this point. So just trying to find the right time to really hit the publish button on that. But besides that, I got another announcement. I think I've touched on this a little bit, but just a heads up, you guys can also find these broadcasts and any of the other live streams that I'll do moving forward also on truthmafia.com. This is spearheaded by Tommy Truthful, dear friend of mine over the last 5+ years since connecting with him, and I've been blessed enough to now have my own channel here with a bunch of other well-known names within this community, Ani included, Donut, Logan, Decode Your Reality, etc. And I know that Tommy would love to have you guys have your own channel on here as well. I know, Rambo, you don't have your your YouTube anymore. However, we can also work on trying to get you on here to, for any blogs or content that you already do on the Patreon. We can maybe funnel it over here as well to help get your work some more exposure as well. So don't be surprised if Rambo and Cody eventually end up having their own channel here as well. So make sure to check out truthmafia.com. I also mentioned I do have a Patreon where you guys can purchase my books. I will also gladly send them to you guys for free. Just send me an email at wordplaybook, 3 O's and book @gmail. Speaking of the Patreon, I'm going to cover 2 different things as we kick things off. This was shared for today's game. The Sharks playing the Islanders. I always take a look at the national holidays, and sure enough, today was National Apple Day, and it made me think about the Big Apple in New York. So I started looking at the New York teams, and sure enough, they were playing at home today, playing against the lowly Sharks. So there wasn't a ton of value on the Islanders, I'll be honest, but sometimes wins are wins, and you gotta take what you can get. So this was pretty easy for me. Sharks equals 22. Islanders can improve to 2-2 at home, and 33, big number with New York, right? So they could also improve to 3-3, which they did. So congrats to the winners there. But the big one, right, as of last night, you guys can see I put this out back on October 5th, and this was actually my only post. So this is the only team I actually put out as far as a future is concerned. Not to be confused with me taking the Blue Jays to win the World Series. This was simply saying it wouldn't surprise me if they found themselves there. And sure enough, they were down in a 2-3 hole going into game 6, right? Yeah. And prevailed. But the main reason was because Blue Jays equals 121 in the reverse cipher, and this is the 121st World Series. And yeah, I already mentioned Blue Jays equals 121, and if you guys take a look at this, game 1 is going to be this Friday on the 24th. And sure enough, that just so happens to be Drake's birthday, right? It'll be his 39th birthday, if I'm not mistaken. So congrats to those who jumped on the Blue Jays, either in live betting or, taking a feature on them. Things were not looking good for them, but they pulled it out. And the other thing that really stands out to me is that, when I think of Drake, I just think about what happened in this past year's Super Bowl, right? We've talked about that quite a bit, about Kendrick, Duckworth, Lamar's They Not Like Us Super Bowl halftime show. Rambo has said often, the Super Bowl wasn't even about the game itself. The ritual mainly was about that particular performance. And I highlighted Philadelphia here because, once again, back in October, Philadelphia still had a shot. They didn't last very long, but just check this out. Game 1 coming up at this year's World Series is going to be exactly 257 days after this past year's Super Bowl. And I just thought that was interesting because Super Bowl champions equals 257. So I was really just thinking a lot about this kind of duality that we see often where, Drake got shamed in the Super Bowl earlier this year. And now here he is getting to, sit front row wearing his Blue Jays jersey on his birthday later this year, right? Whatever that means as far as the outcome, I'm still looking into it. Always appreciate everyone's insight about kind of where you guys might see this particular series going. But that's about all I have at the moment. So congrats to everybody who capitalized. Anything you guys wanted to add or?
Yeah, as far as Toronto is concerned, I just wanted to remind people, those who follow my work will be very familiar with it, of the incident that happened in Toronto at the beginning of 2025. And that was shortly after the Super Bowl, when an airplane, Delta, landed upside down at Toronto Pearson International Airport. It landed, which is just unprecedented, unheard of. Nobody was, I guess they're saying injuries, but there are no deaths. That upside down plane crash in Toronto. And where was Drake? Drake is the face of Toronto. Where was Drake when that happened? He was in Australia, the upside down country, because Australia is the land down under.
Right.
Well, the big face of Toronto and Toronto ambassador Drake himself, this is shortly after the Super Bowl, was in Australia convincingly. And it was on Michael Jordan's birthday. Jalen Hurts had just debuted the latest Air Jordan 1 cleats at the Super Bowl. It was Michael Jordan's 62nd birthday. 62 points were scored total in the Super Bowl. It was 40-22. 40 significant because it's the 40th anniversary of Air Jordan, which Jalen Hurts was debuting. They call it 40 years of greatness. And there's a lot of 40 stuff going around as well. There's some 40 symbols going on as well, which is related to this, especially in the NFL. But 40 years of greatness, that's what Air Jordan was celebrating.
Yeah, and this just hit me too, because Rambo, you talked a lot about how it happened on runway 23, right?
On runway 23, yeah.
On Michael Jordan's birthday, Mr. Number 23, right? Well, here's another thing. Blue Jays equals 23 in Pythagorean, right? So that could have been the true tell right there all along. Runway 23 in Toronto. And I believe that this is the Dodgers' 23rd World Series appearance, I want to say.
Yeah.
It was something like that. I thought that was interesting. So, and let's not forget about that death that happened just on Game 6. Jesus Montero, I believe it was. He was 35 years old, and he only played for 2 teams. He played for the Mariners, and he played for the Yankees. So that was a little concerning for those that liked the Blue Jays, because the Dodgers find themselves in back-to-back World Series appearances, last playing against the Yankees last year, right? So that could have been a sign that perhaps it was the Mariners that were going to prevail as a result of that ritualistic death. But either way, yep, runway 23, upside down plane crash, Drake in the land down under when that happens. Blue Jays equals 23, 23rd appearance for the Dodgers. So Cody, I see that you have you had requested to share your screen, so let me pass that off to you.
Yeah, so this is just something I caught real quick since we're already on the Drake Toronto topic. And this actually goes back over a year and a half to something I talked about in July of 2024, just 13 days before the Trump shooting. And in that video on July 6th or 5th of 2024, me and Derek covered how we thought Trump could get shot that month. And then it happened 7 days later. Well, the main character that I had talked about and the guy I had put on the front of that video was Jey Uso. And I've talked about this guy a lot because he is the cousin and he is a twin, but he's the cousin of Roman Reigns, who is the big Sirius symbol who I've coded so many times, the star of WWE. Well, last night, Jey Uso was at center stage again, and he won a battle royal at the same time as the Toronto Blue Jays, Jey Uso, Blue Jays. And what's funny is he's known for wearing blue. You can see here this is his like main color he wears. And look at this. Early this year, Jey Uso wants Kendrick Lamar, Cardi B, and Drake to perform his WrestleMania entrance. And yeah, Jey Uso it's so funny. It's so obvious that it was synced actually, because look at the gematria. Blue Jays equals Jey Uso. On top of that, Joshua Samuel Fatu, that's his real name, also equals 49 and 95, like Blue Jays and Jey Uso. So, I mean, the gematria points to it. You got Jay wearing blue a lot, like the Blue Jays. He's even talking about Drake earlier this year. But what's even crazier is if you go back to that video I made, again, if you guys scroll back through my videos, you're going to see a video with this image on it of Jey Uso holding a Money in the Bank briefcase. And where was this? Yes, it was in Toronto.
Yeah, hey, and Cody, really quick, before I lose the comment, Mr. S also mentioned that Jay threw out LA Knight.
Yes, exactly. That's what I was getting to. So Jay, he was down to the last 3 of the Battle Royal, because the Battle Royal was like 30 different guys fighting to get an opportunity for the championship. And last night, Jey Uso threw out his brother. He betrayed his brother last night while also throwing out LA Knight. Remember, his brother's a twin. His brother's his twin. And remember, these two brothers had a WrestleMania match in the city of brotherly love in 2024, where it was all about two brothers fighting, right? But it was supposed to be about brotherly love, but it wasn't. They were fighting. And they got back together over the last year, but now he just betrayed his brother again. So there's also this tension between the two brothers. Now, the two brothers, guess where they're born? San Francisco. So there's your Super Bowl connection. So they're born in San Francisco. This is all connected to the Super Bowl. Jay, this is the match I did, like, again, in 2024, I had this video with Jay on it. And I said, we got to watch out for the money in the bank. What's crazy is yesterday there was a outage, right? Or was it yesterday? It was either the day before yesterday or yesterday. There was an outage. You're talking
about the Amazon Web Services outage?
Yes, yeah. And I don't know if that was yesterday or the 19th, but it was one of those 2 days. But the point is, remember, in 2022, the day that the World Economic Forum was supposed to hold their Cyber Polygon event about cyber attacks, they actually canceled the event. But what actually happened in real life, there was an outage, an internet outage, and it was Rogers. Now, why is that important? Because the Rogers is Canada's internet network, and it's based out of Toronto. And so this is all, again, pointing to what I believe is an eventual cyber attack on the banks. This is why you see Jey Uso holding the money in the bank. And now it's all coming to a head here a year and a half later after I did this video. And all the signs are there because we had the outage yesterday or the day before, right when this all was happening. And that's connected to the Rogers outage. And that's connected to Jey Uso, who had the money in the bank. And I believe there will be an attack on the banks. And somehow Trump will have people turn in their money or something. It's going to be like a repeat of the gold confiscation, right? And people have been lining up to buy gold in the last few days. So I'm just saying this is leading towards that.
And really quick, shout out Brandon's reiterating that Drake is a male duck. And that this money bank reminds me of the Oregon Ducks. Let's not forget that Charlie Kirk was an Oregon Ducks fan. And I've done a lot of work on that with my Love series. The Oregon Ducks, they have their song, I Love My Ducks, right? There's been a lot of symbolism with the love and the duck connection. But like you mentioned, Cody, city of brotherly love. And now we have certified lover boy getting to enjoy his hometown team in the World Series. So just want to add that in there.
Yeah, and that's even because those are the Oregon Duck colors, right? On this,
Exactly. Yep.
But what's crazy is when you combine these two colors, what color do you get? Blue.
Blue. Oh, that's right. You do. Yeah. And if I can add one last thing, something that hit me late, it was within the last day or two. It was actually right after the Blue Jays made it to the World Series. Blue is the throat chakra, right? And Charlie Kirk was shot in the throat, right? Neck, throat.
Yeah.
Essentially. And I think that matters because the Blue Jays have a player by the name of Alejandro Kirk, right? So that's interesting. And we've talked about how Freddie Freeman of the Dodgers, he won the World Series MVP last year with a walk-off home run in Game 1. Well, his middle name is Charles, which means free man. So his name is Frederick Charles, meaning free man, last name Freeman. So there's a Charlie Kirk theme going on with both teams in here as well, especially with what you emphasized about the color blue and keeping in mind the color system within the chakras. So.
Yeah, and like I said, with you can see most of his pictures, he's wearing blue.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And it made me think too, speaking of love really quick, if you guys, and Canada specifically, apparently Trudeau has been seen on dates with Katy Perry, right? Well, it makes me think about George Perry Floyd, who has the same birthday as Charlie Kirk, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah. Anyways, I didn't want to hijack it. I just thought those were some interesting things that just kind of popped into my head over the last day or so.
Yeah, and what's also interesting about this is the guy when Jey Uso won this title or this opportunity yesterday, the guy he's going to go on to face is CM Punk, and CM Punk is from Chicago. He's the biggest Chicago person you'll ever see. And I don't think it's also a coincidence that both the teams in the World Series are going to wear blue. Both are blue.
Yeah, exactly.
And so, and in fact, Dodger blue, right? Dodger blue, it's a big thing. And then Blue Jays. That's why I'm really thinking, it's really hard for me to believe the Colts, but the Colts have that blue. And, there's, it could always be the Chiefs, but they could always put the Chiefs in there again. But, everything is lining up with this blue. So I'm wondering if this is also a clue that there's going to be blue teams in the NFL or in the Super Bowl.
In the Super Bowl, yeah, for sure. And shout out Mr. S. That great. Thank you for adding that in there. Like I just mentioned Katy Perry because I thought the last name Perry connected to Trudeau, Canada. But don't forget about Katy Perry and Blue Origin. Right?
Oh, that's right.
Just earlier this year as well. So yeah, great addition, Mr. S. Thank you.
Another controversy this year has been around Sydney Sweeney. She's involved in a lot of rituals. In fact, in the excerpt, I actually have some more quoting from Sydney Sweeney. Awesome. Sydney Sweeney's, so she did a ad campaign with American Eagle Outfitters, and they're saying it was suggestive that it was white supremacist coding, Nazi coding. American Eagle has the eagle as a symbol. The eagles, it's a Nazi symbol among other things. But the catchphrase of her campaign was, well, first of all, she said, Sydney Sweeney has great genes. It was jeans, like, denim jeans. And then she erases GEANS to genes, like genetics, GENE. And the implication, well, here's this white blonde, extolling the virtues of her genetics. But part of the campaign also was, what she said was, my genes are blue. So this is actually what got me on the blue. I actually started taking notice to the blue theme. So since you guys are talking about the blue, how it's prevalent now, that actually ties into the Sydney Sweeney ad, which, of course, it benefited American Eagle. They say they made I think 1 million new purchases after the controversy. But she said, my jeans are blue. And I'm just wondering, that's suggestive of something. But I was really on the blue with from that Sydney Sweeney ad campaign issue. The blue was very relevant.
Yeah, definitely. Mr. S is on it right now. Also mentioned that Gene Hackman died around the same time of the Toronto crash that you mentioned.
Yeah. And Hulk Hogan died too. And his middle name is Gene.
Yeah.
So I did a bunch. Yeah, so I did several decodes based on the Gene thing.
Well, who also had a pick six in the Super Bowl? Cooper did Gene.
And also, just real quick on the Hulk Hogan thing, Jey Uso has been doing the old commercial with, you know how Randy Savage, who was with Hulk Hogan when they talked about the towers going down. Well, Randy Savage used to do that commercial, snap into a Slim Jim. Well, Jey Uso and LA Knight have been the new modern day. They've been the ones doing this commercial nowadays. The guy just showed Jey Uso and LA Knight. So LA Knight like LA Dodgers and Jey Uso like Blue Jays. Those two characters are the ones they've been doing the Slim Jim. And what's funny is Jey Uso's brother, his twin, is named Jim. And in the thing, they say snap a Slim Jim, like snap it, like break it apart, right? So like breaking apart something. So I just wanted to add that in there because that ties back into the Hulk Hogan thing with the genes.
Now the other gene I've been focusing on. So I've been talking about the Ford symbolism. Which, I mean, I'll show that in my excerpt. Ford is very significant. Gerald Ford, Ford's Theater, it's U.S. presidents, and Ford trucks since day one, since January 1st this year, have been involved in multiple events, many involving Trump. So I'm talking about the Ford, Henry Ford. He was an ally of the Nazi regime. Adolf Hitler even had a framed portrait of Henry Ford and next to his desk, and they gave Henry Ford a commemorative. It's the highest honor for a German civilian. It's the highest civilian honor in Germany. Nazi Germany gave that honor. I think it's called the Grand Cross of the German Eagle to Henry Ford, and he manufactured Ford off-road vehicles for Germany in Cologne during the war. So yeah, so Ford is very relevant to a lot of stuff. So I talked about the ad campaign, Crazy About a Ford Truck. That was a song by Alan Jackson, the country music singer Alan Jackson. He had the ad campaign for Ford, Crazy About a Ford Truck. And it's very blue. Like when you see the cover art for the song, it's very blue. He's sitting on I think a blue raft. The writing is blue, and blue is very emphasized there. But Alan Jackson's middle name is Eugene as well. So Gene and blue, again, Sidney Sweeney ties into this. I actually show that in my excerpt. So along the lines of the blue, it does tie into genes and genetics. And what are they talking about? What are blue genetics? It's something to consider.
The name Sydney just reminded me back to Australia.
Exactly. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So yeah, Rambo, if you want to request screen share.
Yeah. Okay. Let me see. So yeah, it's like a 2-minute excerpt.
Okay. Shout out to everyone in the chat. Please make sure to hit that like and subscribe. You guys don't cost a thing. Appreciate you all.
Okay, I think this is it. Can I play it now? You got it?
Yeah, I think we're good.
SS is a Nazi title. The paramilitary Schutzstaffel. SS is 1010 if you do single reduction numerology and gematria. S is the 19th letter of the alphabet. 1 + 9 = 10. S = 10 in single reduction. SS is 1010. Actress Sydney Sweeney is SS. She did a commercial for American Eagle apparel, the eagle being a Nazi emblem. Many suggested that it was a covert allusion to Nazi-like white supremacy. Sydney Sweeney just happens to be another Ford Motor Pitch person.
I come from a family of mechanics, and I learned how to drive on my great-grandpa's F-100. I think that's when I first fell in love with Ford. A vintage Ford Bronco was my dream car. I wanted that car so bad. I was the only girl in the shop. I changed the transmission, added power steering, new brakes, updated the radio, the suspension, redesigned the interior, and added a roll bar, but that is just the beginning.
Yeah, I'm sure you did.
Sydney Sweeney, SS 1010. Interestingly, the singer of Crazy Bought a Ford Truck, Alan Jackson's middle name is Eugene.
Yeah, so this is the video. It's 40 minutes long, titled Madness, and it's up on the Patreon.
Yeah, I need to play some catch up for sure. Been out and about the last several days, but I'm looking forward to that, Rambo. Thank you for sharing.
Yeah, thanks. So you see, so much is connected. The Ford, it was the 1010. The 1010 was in the video that Erica Kirk was in before she was Erica Kirk, and she was in the Ford truck. Now the 1010 tied into so many things, including the Rashi Rice. So 1010 is huge, something I've been in big on, but it does tie into, I guess, what we're seeing in the World Series, the two blue teams, and the emphasis on blue. And it goes back to Sydney Sweeney, starting with My Jeans Are Blue.
If you want another SS, shout out to HRJ3J77RHR. So for another SS, well, Sylvester Stallone played Rambo.
Yeah,
I like that.
the nice one, yeah.
Yeah, no, I mean that's amazing. That because I don't know, I haven't been paying too much attention to the Sydney Sweeney stuff. All I know is that she's has been buzzing in the news for. I did know about that Gene situation. Ironically enough, she was also in that show called Flying Lotus that I touched on in one of our episodes when we were talking about the hanged man symbolism, where the kid's nearly dying out by the pool next to the water. Yeah. You guys might remember that. But Sydney Sweeney plays that guy's sister in the show. That was the first time I really even knew who she was. But
yeah, she's involved in a lot right now.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so she's central to a lot of rituals.
Yep. Yeah, there was something about her leaving like the Oscars or something early or something. I don't know. But let's see. Yeah, hey, Cody, anything else you want to add to that with just the Ford, the 1010s? Obviously, there's so much with Erica Kirk and Charlie Kirk these days. But
I mean, it just kind of reinforces with me again the Detroit Lions connection. Again, they also wear blue,
mm-hmm.
and then they won. Also, right? Was it the night before? I don't know. They also won around the same time as the Blue Jays. Was it the same night? I think it was.
Monday, yeah.
Yeah, good point.
Monday, yeah.
So you had the Detroit Lions winning the blue team versus the Skull and Bones team with the red and gold, and of course San Francisco also has the red and gold.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I mean, remember that game, that soccer game that we had decoded a few weeks ago? That team was the Lions, and that was like the perfect amount of days before the Super Bowl. So I think it also reinforces the Lions Super Bowl potential. And also, what was I also going to say? Oh, with just quickly on this too, I found really something interesting with yesterday's, because it was George Springer who hit the big home run that basically won them the game.
Mhm.
And he was born September 19th, 1989. And if you measure how old he was yesterday, he was a very interesting amount of days old. Look at this.
Oh,
So, of course, when anyone sees that number, 1318, you think of the verse in the Bible that says the number of the beast is 666. Well, what's even crazier is not only was he that old, he plays on the team called the Blue Jays.
Latin cipher, right? Yeah.
And Blue Jays actually equals that. So, I mean, wow, what a coincidence, right? His team equals 1318, and he takes his team essentially to the World Series when he's 18 days old. I mean, wow. That just shows you that it's not just about measuring from, like, a lot of people, I get why they do it. Like, they measure just within the year. But I mean, these guys are on their exact days they're supposed to be on when they're doing this stuff. I mean, what's the chance of that? And then this actually ties back into what I was going to say about this other thing is, if you go from that Jey Uso thing that I showed you a little bit ago on July, right before Trump got shot, on July 6, 2024, and you go to the very first game of the World Series with Toronto and LA. Look at the measurement. 1 year, 3 months, 18 days, 1318. That will be from Jey Uso in Toronto. That was, remember, he was on the cover and that took place in Toronto. So something going on with this 1318, which obviously leads us back to that 666 connection. And I believe I've heard that the color blue has a frequency of 666. I don't know if there's anyone in the chat that can verify that or expand upon that, but I've heard from Dona that the color blue has a connection to the number 666. I don't remember exactly how.
Yeah, he touched a lot on blue back when the Maui fires were going on. Like that one house that stood, that everything else around it burned. It was blue, and then like all the cars, like the only cars that weren't melting were blue, things like that. But I was just gonna throw in the Kobe connection with Toronto. Let's not forget Kobe scored 81 points in his 666 career game, doing so against Toronto. Right, he's the Black Mamba, and now we're in the year of the snake. Right, so just wanted to throw that tidbit in there as well.
Yeah, and it really just makes me think. Like I said, going back to the Lions being blue and having won that same night.
Mm-hmm.
So, and then the Ford connections, it kind of feels like.
Yeah, Cody, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. There was just something I talked about with Rambo yesterday, a story I had when I was out in Tampa Bay. I was technically in St. Petersburg. It's kind of a suburb, if you will, of Tampa Bay. But check this out really quick. Let's share my screen. So, I mean, for those that have been to St. Pete's, you guys are probably maybe aware of this, but Central Avenue in St. Petersburg is kind of like a little party street, if you will. It was down the street from the hotel that we were staying at, and sure enough, right on the corner, I couldn't help but notice this club called Club 201, and it's called Club 201 at the Detroit. Like, that's the full official name of this place, and it was just so bizarre. I mean, I don't know how deep Rambo knows the story, but just something crazy happened in the early morning hours as I was literally standing right out front of this Detroit 201 place. What was it, Rambo? I took a couple of photos of the 201, right? And then Rambo pointed out that there was a liquor bottle, right? Because this is a bar. And the bottle was specifically turned in a direction where it only showed one name, and it was Martin, right? Is that, yeah. Yeah, it was Martin. And then sure enough, while I'm there in Tampa Bay, a former Tampa Bay Buccaneers player by the name of Martin dies. I'm not sure if you guys heard about that news. And then sure enough, the day that I'm coming back to Texas, the Buccaneers, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, are playing the Detroit Lions. It was just so bizarre. I mean, anybody would be giving me way too much credit to assume that I timed my trip to be there to see this place the same day that the Tampa Bay's playing Detroit. It was just so bizarre, man. Talk about kind of an organic synchronicity. Rambo, hey, Rambo, I think you're muted, brother.
If people could see the pictures, that would really, I think the decode would hit home.
Yeah, good point.
To actually see, I don't know if it's too late to do it now, but
I could pull it up. I'll just send it to myself and throw it up on a slide.
Detroit, see the name, actually visually see the Detroit on the bar and the bottle with the Martin on it.
Yeah, I'm going to send that to myself right now.
Detroit, Tampa, they have the skull and bones thing, of course, too, just like Vegas. And Doug Martin played for only 2 teams in his career. And, of course, it was those 2 teams, the 2 skull and bones teams. So I believe that Doug Martin was part of the Rashee Rice thing that Rambo was talking about, because Doug Martin died and he played for only the 2 skull and bones teams, right as Rashee Rice is coming back. And that kind of connects us back to Vegas, too, with the Erica Kirk thing being in Vegas.
Yeah, Rambo, I got the photo right here. I never noticed that. I probably never would have caught that unless I texted this to you, Rambo, because as soon as you sent me that, I was blown away. Let me just get
there does seem to be a skull and bones, something to do with skull and bones has been going around.
Yeah, he died 3 months, 22 days before the Super Bowl, too, Doug Martin.
Yeah. So I took a few different photos just of all the different 201s I was seeing at this place. And sure enough, this was kind of right at the walk-in, it's like you got the sidewalk. It's almost like a drive-through, but people can just order a drink on the sidewalk or whatever. And sure enough, I just took this photo because of the 201, but notice the green bottle here. I don't know if you guys can see that. I might have to try to crop it a little bit more. But this was before the reported death of this Martin player. So, yeah, to talk about kind of giving me chills,
Well, Martin is also part of the Mars code, because Martin means, I think, of Mars or son of Mars or something like that. Mm-hmm. And what's interesting about this happening when it did, it's just like a day or 2 later, on that day of the Lions game, the Golden Gate Bridge, where the Super Bowl is going to be, it turned 47 Martian years, which I think is huge, considering we're in the time of the 47th president, and the Golden Gate Bridge just turned 47 Martian years right after Martin died, and Martin is basically Mars. And I believe when Trump got his records of his family, it was given to him by the German president now, whose name is, what's his name again? It's Martin something, or it's tied to Martin somehow. I don't remember, but you guys remember when Trump got his dad's plaque or something when he met with the German president? But yeah, that Martin thing is something I was following earlier this year when the Mars stuff was happening.
Sorry, Cody, I gave you the floor back.
Oh yeah, it was Mertz. Okay, so his name is, this is interesting. His name is Joachim Friedrich, so like Friedrich Freeman, Freddie Freeman, Martin Mertz. And Mertz is sounds like Merz or Mars in German. It's not spelled the same way, but yeah, his name is like a double Mars code, and he's the one who gave that thing to Trump earlier this year, right when Trump was getting ready to turn 42 Martian years, right around his birthday this year. And that's exactly, remember, I predicted that because that was the exact day that Israel attacked Iran on Trump's 42nd Martian birthday, when Iran equals 42. So, yeah, I mean, I think I don't know exactly how Doug Martin ties in, but it is crazy that you were there and you had the Martin glass, and just a perfect organic sync to show how everything's connected.
Yeah. Only I took it just because of the 201. I pretty much was taking a photo of every 201 I could find, and sure enough.
Well, actually, I forgot. Wait, Mars equals 201. Sorry.
It does, yeah.
Oh yeah.
So does Rams, right? I mean, that was back when the Rams beat the Bengals several years ago, and the Rams have that connection to Mars.
Yeah, and that's So I completely forgot Mars equal 201. So that adds even more weight to the Mars thing.
Yeah, no kidding. Wow. Huh. Yeah, shout out Rambo. I probably never would have noticed that.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah, plus remind people the name of the bar is Detroit.
Yeah, Club 201 at the Detroit or whatever.
Yes, that's the name of the club is Detroit. Yeah. And the Detroit played in Tampa. No, it was Tampa Bay playing against Detroit that night. Yeah, after the death of Martin. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, the Detroit thing is interesting too, because the hockey team from Detroit is off to start. Because my favorite teams growing up was Detroit Red Wings and the Indianapolis Colts. Both these teams have been very bad for like 9-10 years, but now all of a sudden this year they're both off to like the same start. Like the Red Wings are 5-1, and the Colts just got done being 5-1. So there's something going on with that too. That's probably just organic, but those were just the two teams that I followed more than anything, and they're just both simultaneously the same year having this really crazy start out of nowhere. So
Colts are interesting with the blue connection and the U connections that Rambo's been on, but also next year's the Fire Horse year. The horse, Colt being a horse. That's, I mean, man.
Well, I picked up on this Colt thing in the first game of the season when no one was even talking about them going to the Super Bowl. But now it's even being talked about. Like, so either that was part of the riddle. That's just the riddle right there, is that they were supposed to be a big contender this year. That's what the code is, or they're actually going to go. It's either one of those two, I think. But they are the best team in the league right now, and Daniel Jones is the chosen one right now. And I can show, based off the Indiana Jones decode I'm going to have coming out, which it just blows my mind how perfectly they synced up this Germany game coming up on the 9th of November with Daniel Jones and his code. And it all goes back to the Indiana Jones movie, The Dial of Destiny. And that Dial of Destiny is, I feel like they're saying it's a destiny of Daniel Jones. So I just, there's a lot to it. And it's, just super interesting to me because this guy just came out of nowhere. You know what I mean? He wasn't even supposed to be the starter.
Totally random, but I didn't even know that today was Back to the Future Day. And that's been something we've been talking about for, I've lost count for how long. But happy Back to the Future Day, everybody.
And Netanyahu's birthday today. So this is actually a big day. And tomorrow is the end of the countdown for the
Lost Guitar.
The Lost Guitar, which will be the start of the 88th year of Christopher Lloyd's life. And speaking of guitars and Back to the Future, the Colts are carrying around a guitar. Look, I guess I gotta pull this up too, because this probably ties into the Back to the Future stuff. Because remember, the coach of the Colts is born in 1985, the year of Back to the Future, and when their owner died this year, he was a guitar collector, Jim Irsay, and now they are carrying around this guitar everywhere. So I shared the screen again there, AJ, if you can pull that up.
Oh yeah, my bad.
So yeah, every day they're putting this thing in front of. They're posting it all over the place. And there's Daniel Jones carrying the blue guitar. There's your blue again. It says win for Jim. And that's interesting because I just told you the two brothers from San Francisco were just last night. And the one brother, Jay Uso, eliminated his brother, Jim. They're calling him Big Jim. So there's something going on. And Indianapolis has been part of the WWE all year, they had a big event here early this year, and they had their Royal Rumble in Indianapolis this year. WWE did. That's where the clues are. And don't forget, Indianapolis is the 201 city. Indianapolis equals 201, and they're Circle City as well. So that actually goes back to Rambo's Circle stuff.
Well, and to that point, shout out to HRJ3J77RHR. The Colts U also does have that symbolism with the Turning Point logo, right? It's kind of another U hidden in there as well.
Yeah. Yeah.
And before I forget, I'm sorry. Before I forget, really quick, shout out to Sean DeSad, Widow's son. He posted. I got to look into exactly where this came from, but shout out to you, Sean, if you're listening. I'm going to show your video here. It's under his shorts, so it's like a minute long. But he was pointing out the symbolism with Back to the Future, Marty McFly, Superman, and Donnie Darko and Bad Bunny. So I wanted to did you happen to see that, Cody?
Well, I don't think I did. No, maybe
Okay.
I did. I mean, when you show it, I'll know.
Yeah, but like I said, this is really quick, you guys. But shout out Sean, Widow's son. This is way interesting. Let's make sure I can.
Oh, I saw that.
All right.
Yeah,
I
that's
hope I
crazy.
get credit for this because.
Oh.
All right, I hope I get credit for this because, this is insane. But at the end of the day, I know that a lot of people have been making the connection to like Charlie Kirk and Back to the Future and Donnie Darko, and Superman in the Superman thing. So just watch this. Okay, this is Spin City. It says Marty McFly, but this is Spin City with Michael J. Fox. You see the bunny. Just watch the whole thing. I don't even have to explain anymore.
Yes, I don't know if you guys could hear that, but essentially, Michael J. Fox is chasing after this bunny. He's like, I can't run with this suit on, and then that's when he rips it off and becomes Superman. I have no idea what Spin City is. Is this like a comedy show or a movie he was in? I have no idea.
I think it's a series he was in. I think.
Okay, but yeah, I mean, I'm gonna have to look more into that. But just the symbolism in that very short clip, I thought was crazy. Just with everything that we've been talking about, even with Superman, right? Charlie Kirk's now Man of Steel because apparently he was able to stop a bullet with his neck.
I found that, yeah, and shout out to Sean for finding that because I did see that and that did get me. I didn't get a chance to look more into it, but I mean that definitely brings everything together. And that it makes me think too of this moon bunny code that I did last week, because Superman's like the space being, and the moon has the bunny on it. That's what they say. It's called the moon bunny or the moon hare, and the S could be like on Superman could be like the snake, like NASA has the symbol of the snake tongue. I think it has something to do with the snake and the rabbit, something because I think Superman represents a snake with the S, and the bunny, the moon. That's part of it. There's probably other layers to it, but I think there is something there with that too.
Yeah, definitely. Shout out again, Sean DeSad, Widow's son. I'll put that in the comments as well for anybody that isn't familiar with Sean's work. I'm glad to see him be a little more active again on his page. So thank you again, Sean. Appreciate you, brother. Rambo, was there anything you wanted to add to that?
Yeah, so I'm saying, so with the bunny connection, I've been on the bunny since the beginning of the year. I talked about Michael Jordan, Space Jam, Bugs Bunny. I talked about Alice in Wonderland, the White Rabbit. I talked about it as pertains to the Matrix. Then I talked about Donnie Darko. And I even did a decode. This is well before the this decode didn't really resonate with the audience, to be honest. I don't have a big soccer audience, but I thought it was a good decode. I liked it. It was about time. And it was about, I guess understandably, it's the FA Cup in England. I guess most people aren't into that in soccer. It's the oldest soccer competition in the world. It's the FA Cup. A principal player there was a time symbol because he's from Greenwich. Greenwich is the benchmark for measuring time zones. So 0 meridian is Greenwich, and it's next to London. Greenwich it's a suburb of London. That's why London is at 0 meridian. From 0 meridian, you measure that all other time zones are determined from there. That's why, and that was basically what my decode was based on, but it was about soccer, so it didn't really resonate. But there was a soccer player born in Greenwich. His name is Eze, and that's his last name, Eze. He actually has 88. The team sponsor on his team wore number 88. He plays for a team named Crystal Palace, who was in the 144th FA Cup final. That's the oldest soccer competition in the world. It was the 144th. It was all about him. Like he scored the winning goal. The ritual was all about him. And he has a cousin. Her name is Ego Wodum. That's how his cousin's name. She's part of the cast of Saturday Night Live. And she actually did a tribute to him because that is a Saturday, the day that his team won the 144th FA Cup. He's from Greenwich. It was all about time. It was the season finale of Saturday Night Live, and his cousin actually wore his jersey in the at the closing for Saturday Night Live. It was the season finale, and she wore his jersey, number 10. But who was the musical guest on that episode? It was Bad Bunny, and I put that in my video. Again, it wasn't my most popular video, though I personally liked it. It was I guess it was too soccer oriented, but that's the first time I mentioned Bad Bunny. Bad Bunny was he was a guest, the musical guest on the season finale of Saturday Night Live in 2025 with Ego Wodum, who's the cousin of Eberechi Eze, who was the star of Crystal Palace's win, and he's from Greenwich. Greenwich is a time meridian. So that's when I first talked about Bad Bunny. But so now that they've mentioned Bad Bunny, it does tie into another work. Like I've been on the rabbit theme. I mean, all year. I had no idea. You'd think I would have guessed, right? that Bad Bunny would be, but I didn't. But anyway, so Bad Bunny actually brings in Alice in Wonderland, which I've alluded to Alice in Wonderland as well, how it ties in with just the bunny theme. And so there are two rabbits in Alice in Wonderland. One is the white rabbit, which is the more famous. The other is the March hare. Bad Bunny is the March hare because he was born in March. He was born March 10th. But not only that, the March hare is depicted with straw on his head in the original Alice in Wonderland, in the illustrations. He has like a crude hat of straw on his head. There actually is a traditional Puerto Rican straw hat called a pava, which Bad Bunny has worn. This pava hat. He wore it at the Met Gala, and he wore it in the official promo that's announcing him as the Super Bowl halftime performer. He wears a straw hat. The March hare wears straw on his head. So, and he was born in March. So Bad Bunny is the March hare, and he's the best friend of the Mad Hatter. And the NFL literally did, and I did a decode on it on Instagram, how the NFL did a Mad Hatter tribute on Mad Hatter Day. Now, there's one number in Alice in Wonderland. It's a number that's in Alice in Wonderland. So, and I've talked about Back to the Future, Donnie Darko. I've talked about a bunch of stuff and how they're connected to the Super Bowl, especially Back to the Future. And I have a lot more on Alice in Wonderland, especially with Bad Bunny being announced. Alice in Wonderland is heavily connected. There's one number associated with Alice in Wonderland. That's the number 106, because on the Mad Hatter's hat has 106 on it. That's the price of his hat, 10 shillings, 6 pence. And I explained why. And Lewis Carroll chose 10 shillings, 6 pence for the cost of the Mad Hatter's hat. It's because 106, in the simplest cipher of Gematria, 106 is Tea Party, which is where Alice meets the Mad Hatter. He's stuck at an eternal tea party. It's related to time. So the tea party is always stuck at 6 o'clock. And you can think of Super Bowl 60. It's the 106th NFL season. That's the most direct connection of Alice in Wonderland. It's the 106. I've done a couple of decodes on that on Instagram. If you check out those two. So one thing about Instagram, you can play music. I guess copyrighted. and I showed a song by, I play it on my Instagram by Bad Bunny. It's the first hit that really launched him. His first top 10 hit. This is what launched his career. It is in, I believe, 2018. The song is called Mia, which means mine in Spanish. But who was the guest on Mia? It was Bad Bunny, but featuring Drake. That means if Bad Bunny were to perform Mia, which is his breakthrough hit, and that's another thing about Mia, which I showed in my decode. Mia Wasikowska played Alice in the 2010 Alice in Wonderland movie. Yeah.
No way. Oh my
It's
god.
in my decode. This is a three-minute decode. You look at them on Instagram. I put that all in there. But I also show you'll hear the lyrics to Mia. You'll hear it's all in Spanish. Drake actually sings in Spanish. But that was the hit that launched it. Like he almost has to sing that song. That's what launched him. Nothing is if he does sing it. Now the person I predicted for Super Bowl 60 halftime show was Drake. I predicted it would be Drake because to me that was just the NFL cannot miss that. You know how they're mixing sports with celebrities and entertainment now? How can you miss having Drake at the Super Bowl right after Kendrick Lamar did? Imagine if people were told, "Oh, Drake will headline the halftime show." What are the ratings going to be? Given what happened at the last Super Bowl, okay, this is Drake's chance to respond to Kendrick Lamar. I was thinking, how can they drop that ball? It has to be Drake, but it's not. It's Bad Bunny. But Bad Bunny, he collaborated with Drake on the hit that launched him in 2018. So that song is pretty major. I have a ton of Alice in Wonderland connections, especially through Bad Bunny. But yeah, so yeah, Mia. So Mia is the name of the actress who played Alice in the 2010, movie version. And the Mad Hatter was actually the star of the show. There, it was Johnny Depp. So Alice is supposed to be. You'd think Alice in Wonderland, the actress who plays Alice, should be the star. It's not. It's actually Johnny Depp was the star of that. That's because he played the Mad Hatter. And again, the Mad Hatter has 106 on his hat, and there are connections. So what's one of the in fact, at the end of Donnie Darko, what's one of the songs in the soundtrack? Because Donnie Darko, I've talked about that with you. The soundtrack is very significant to that movie. Cody's done a bunch of decos on The Killing Moon by Echo and the Bunnymen. The last track on it at the end is Mad World. I think it's Tears for Fears? I'm not sure, but it's Mad World. But again, that's Mad, the Mad Hatter, the rabbit. The whole madness theme. My latest decode on Patreon is titled Madness. So this is a madness theme and the Tea Party. And yes, so the Mad Hatter has 106. And this is the culmination of the 106th NFL season. And I've seen a bunch of connections on that. So, but going with, and I'll leave it at this, going with Cody's connection to the Colts. And this is all Cody is on earlier. I don't know too many people on the Colts. Cody's been on the Colts. And we kind of tied in the Lions. I think it's in Through the Looking Glass. I don't think this is Alice in Wonderland, but the sequel to Alice in Wonderland was Through the Looking Glass. In Through the Looking Glass, one of the duties of the Mad Hatter, I think this is Through the Looking Glass, because in Alice in Wonderland, he's stuck at the Tea Party like forever. It's only 6 o'clock. In Through the Looking Glass, one of the Mad Hatter's duties is to give an update on a fight. There's a fight where there's this crowd around these two entities fighting. The two entities fighting are a unicorn and a lion. So that's a horse figure and a lion figure. And they're battling it out in a violent fight. And the Mad Hatter has to give updates on the fight, on who's winning and the status of the fight. So I just leave that on the Alice in Wonderland connection, how it ties into Cody's connection with the Super Bowl. It is interesting. And I can show there are way more Alice in Wonderland connections. The Mad Hatter. And the NFL honored Mad Hatter Day. Mad Hatter Day is 106. It's October 6th. It could be 10th June, but it's October 6th. Not a coincidence. There was only one game on October 6th, which was Thursday night, and the NFL chose a quarterback whose birthday is 106, Mad Hatter Day, which is Trevor Lawrence, of the Jacksonville Jaguars, to play on Mad Hatter Day. It's not a coincidence. And there's a point with Patrick Mahomes. Patrick Mahomes last year had a well-publicized birthday party for his daughter. Now, in Alice in Wonderland, it's the Tea Party. That's what 106 is, Tea Party. There's also the caterpillar. And the caterpillar in Alice in Wonderland, one of the major. And look at the video for Mia. They have hookah pipes. It's a pretty basic video. It's just a party, but they have hookah pipes. Why are there hookah pipes? People smoking hookah pipes throughout Bad Bunny's video of Mia. Where do you see the hookah pipe? It's in Alice in Wonderland, because Alice in Wonderland, the caterpillar smokes the hookah pipe. It's so even Bad Bunny's song alludes to Alice in Wonderland, the song Mia, and it just so happens Mia. So that was released in 2018. So I think that might have been why they coordinated the name Mia with the actress. But nonetheless, again, this does go along with KODI's. I guess it's a prediction. It is a unicorn and a lion who fighting it out, and the Mad Hatter's job is to give updates on the progress of the fight.
Just piggybacking off of Mia, it finally clicked with me. It was one of the first videos I had ever done, actually, since starting YouTube, called Love is MIA. Oh, and that was when Mia Love, the first Black Republican Congresswoman, died earlier this year. I believe it was March 23rd. And I remember that because it's Kyrie Irving and Jason Kidd's birthday. But beyond that, it was the same day that my Arizona Wildcats were playing the Oregon Ducks, right? And Arizona, at least last year, their basketball team, their key player came from North Carolina, but his last name is Love, Caleb Love. And Arizona, the state founded on Valentine's Day, win the same day that Mia Love passes away, right? So just want to throw another Mia in there since you brought it up. It's
going to be a thing. But how can he not sing that song? But I think if Bad Bunny performs Mia at Super Bowl 60,
how is Drake not there?
What is that?
How is Drake not there if he's performing that song, right?
And how does he not perform that song? That's the song that launched him. How do you not perform the one song that launched you, your first top 10 hit? But I was thinking, if he performs it, I'd imagine he'd have to perform it last. Because if you perform it first, now you have Drake on stage. You can't just remove Drake and then sing the other songs which don't involve Drake. I would think that would be the last song he performed. Right. Because that way Drake would be on stage for the last song of the halftime show. So and it ties into Alice in Wonderland. One last thing I was going to say, I didn't complete what I was going to say about Patrick Mahomes. So the caterpillar turns into a butterfly in Alice in Wonderland. And, the Tea Party, that's where the Mad Hatter is stuck. Last year, Patrick Mahomes had a publicized, this is in headlines on sports pages, birthday party for his daughter. And it was a Tea Party butterfly-themed birthday party. It's a direct reference to Alice in Wonderland. And that's why they had Patrick Mahomes play the quarterback whose birthday was Mad Hatter Day, 10/06, on 10/06, and of course they gave the win went to, the birthday man whose birthday is Mad Hatter Day. So the NFL is 100% conscious of the 106th season and how it ties into Alice in Wonderland. And again, like you're showing this image, this does tie into KODI's pick of the Colts. I know Colts Lions, So this is right up the alley of KODI's pick.
Yeah, shout out Mr. S also mentioning that Bronny James also has that same Mad Hatter Day birthday. The son of King James, and a lot of his logos and things have like James, like the Lion King, the Lion King LeBron James. So I want to throw that in there. But yeah, KODI, thank you for pulling that up. What do you got,
I didn't even know about this, so that's interesting. With this, like I said, I presented a lot of the connections between the two quarterbacks for the teams, and it's hard for me to believe still, even though I found a lot of great connections to it, because I know the Chiefs are still in there, and it's really going to take a chosen team to get past the Chiefs and make it to the Super Bowl. So we'll see if the Chiefs actually get taken off this year. But there was a lot of fours this year, and Patrick Mahomes can go to his 4th straight Super Bowl and win his 4th. So, I mean, that again, it's hard for me to go 100% fully with the Colts until I see something, until I see the Chiefs lose. That's what I keep saying. The Bills are also a very interesting one, but the Ravens, I thought maybe at the beginning of the season could be, but it looks like the Colts are actually taking over for the Ravens because Baltimore Colts are the original Baltimore team. So I think the Colts are taking over for Baltimore. But I don't think Baltimore really has a chance now. They're already like 1-5 or something like that. But yeah, Bills, Colts, Chiefs, maybe Broncos. That's another one I'm looking at. But the Broncos are having a good year too. So, and of course, Back to the Future does have the Denver thing in there. And I was thinking about this too, Rambo, with Sirius and this constellation thing with the chasing the rabbit. And you know how in Back to the Future he says, we're about to see some serious stuff. And Sean, another big shout out to Sean, he made this video right after I made my video the other day. We found out that Casio had made on 8,800 days after 9/11 was October 14th or 15th. And October 14th, Casio made a video about the watch. And they made this video inspired by Back to the Future. I don't know if he shows it here. Yeah, he doesn't show like the actual video, but the point is they make a video with this guy promoting this Casio watch, and they have the DeLorean come, and this kid has this watch, and he calls the DeLorean. And that was 8,800 days after 9/11, right? Just like it's 88 miles an hour. Well, Casio, we found this out live on the air. Casio equals 88. And Casio also equals time, 47 and 20. So Casio equals 88, and then it equals time in 2 ciphers. And just throwing in my name in there because my name also has that 4720. Always thought that it was interesting. But yeah, so the point is the 88 is 8,800 days after 9/11. But what Sean brought up was that in this commercial, they point us to the day 10/21. This is what they point us to at the end of the video. And notice that they changed the date because in the original movie, of course, it was October, or it was October 26, 1985, but they put the current date as October 21st, 2025, which is today. And the reason they did that, of course, I think is because of the Back to the Future day is today. But I think they also did it because today is the start of a new moon. It's a new moon. So it's the start of brown lunation. Remember, I already showed this, how Doc Brown is connected to Ernest Brown. And Ernest Brown is the guy who created moon lunations. Well, we call these brown lunations. Well, today is the start of brown lunation 1272. Well, in gematria, Sirius, the dog star, equals 1272. And again, this is what Sean found. And this 1272 is also what we call the golden root. I'm not going to get into that too much, but 1272 is the golden root. And that all that means is it's the square root of the golden ratio. So 1.272 times 1.272 is 1618. But yeah, I just wanted to shout out Sean for that because then he brings up Sirius equaling 67. And there's been a lot of talk about 67 recently as well. I'm trying to think. Oh, yeah, the viral meme right now going around with the 6'7" TikTok trend. And this is Sean's theory, so don't take it from mine, but I want to quote him on it because he's been talking about how the beast in Revelation could possibly be an image or an ode to the dog being the beast, chasing the rabbit, Sirius. And, of course, again, just putting all that together with the Sirius in the movie Back to the Future, the date today is the start of Lunation 1272, which is Sirius the dog star. That's the gematria. And blue is also associated with Sirius too, because the star is usually depicted as blue. But yeah, and Sirius also equals funny, and I'm talking about this because Sirius also equals the same gematria as the guys I was just talking about earlier. Look, Blue Jays. And I don't know how the Blue Jays would specifically connect to Sirius, but they do have a gematria match with Sirius. And so does Jey Uso, the guy I just talked about, and he I've already talked about how he's probably a Sirius, because I already talked about how his cousin Roman Reigns is obviously about Sirius, but I'm assuming he's also connected with that.
Kind of a random thought here. I just say through that oldest time joke. Why is 6 afraid of 7? Because 7, 8, 9. Ha ha ha.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Who knows? But I don't like. That's all I got, other than the joke. But maybe there's something about 789 out there. I don't know what this all this 6-7 stuff going on.
So the Blue Jays do connect to Sirius through Michael Jordan, with the plane flipping upside down in Toronto on runway 23 on Michael Jordan's 62nd birthday. And Jordan equals 67. Michael Jordan is a Sirius symbol.
Mm-hmm.
The whole Bulls anthem during his dynasty was Sirius by the Alan Parsons Project, and Michael Jordan was born with Sirius ascending on the eastern horizon. So with the plane flip, which is clearly a Michael Jordan tribute, you can call it, I guess, in Toronto, I think that's how Sirius connects to the Blue Jays, through Michael Jordan and that incident.
Yeah, that makes sense, actually. I always keep forgetting that plane crash was near there. So
yeah, it was right out front of the Air Canada hub or whatever. Mm-hmm. Air Canada, Air Jordan, right? That was all Rambo.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah, it was a huge incident. It was a 62nd, birthday. That was big because 62 points were scored at the Super Bowl when Jalen Hurts debuted the Air Jordan 1s. It was the 40th anniversary of Air Jordan, 40 years of greatness. He put up 40 points. It was 40-22. It's like Michael Jordan was all over it since the Super Bowl. And before that, his son this is what got me on Back to the Future. His son, Marcus, that's a name related to Mars, had his car, his blue car, stuck on the railroad tracks in Florida, which right away I said and he was wearing the original Air Jordans when it happened. And there's more to that incident as well. You check the police video. I mean, there's so much. But that's actually what got me started in all of this. It was Marcus Jordan's car getting stuck on the train tracks. That right away I said, that's a Back to the Future reference.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I was just I just brought that up and just to go, because I think it all does connect with Sirius too. Sirius is always kind of in the background, and I thought that what Sean brought up. So again, shout out to Sean for he's back and he's making bangers all the time. So I mean, I think that I just thought about that because the dog chasing the rabbit, and I don't know how the dog thing would fit in necessarily with the actual Blue Jay part, but I think the Michael Jordan thing definitely makes sense. Yeah, and if you guys want to go subscribe, his channel's Widow's Son on YouTube.
Yeah, definitely. Hey, I got to step out for 1 minute. I'll be right back. You guys keep doing your thing.
Let's see. Anything you specifically that you were thinking, Rambo, with the Casio thing I shared?
Yeah, very interesting. Look up Bad Bunny's. Just look up Bad Bunny. You might know this already, but look up Bad Bunny.
Just type him in, Bad Bunny.
Yeah, or go to the Wikipedia page. What's his real name?
Casio.
Yeah, Casio. Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, I knew that, but I didn't think of that because but it's got the O in front of it, like the circle with the Casio. Like time, like the cycles, right? Cycles with the Casio, like a watch, like time. And what's funny is the WWE has been paying. Well, first of all, Bad Bunny is a WWE wrestler. He's been in the ring and is actually very good at wrestling.
Oh, really? I didn't know that.
They actually list him as a wrestler, I think, somewhere on his Wikipedia. He's actually one of the best celebrity wrestlers. He does flips and everything in the ring. He does really like hardcore wrestling moves, not like most celebrities. Most celebrities, they just get in and they just do these fake hits, you know. But Bad Bunny, when he was in the ring, he impressed. He actually went through tables and everything. He went hardcore into that wrestling stuff. But what's funny is lately, Cody Rhodes and Seth Rollins just had a match last week, and he got hit with a watch. Cody Rhodes had given Seth Rollins a watch a year and a half ago at WrestleMania for helping him. And there was another watch, or it was the same watch, but Cody Rhodes was getting ready to win, and Seth Rollins took a watch, cheated, right, and took a watch and hit him in the face and won the match because of it. So there's a watch theme there with the wrestling. And Bad Bunny's friend in wrestling is Damian Priest, the wrestler Damian Priest. So you got priests and satanic kind of stuff going on. But, man, Ocasio and Martinez, you know, that's actually Martin again. Yeah. He's got a lot of O's, too, if you think about it, with all this O stuff you were talking about. Benito, Antonio, Ocasio.
Yeah, I guess, yeah, that's pretty common for Spanish. But so there's another theme going on here, and that is Spain versus England. So you heard what Turning Points is doing with the Super Bowl halftime show. So Turning Points, this is just blatant divide and conquer. Turning Points has their alternative halftime show for, I guess, real Americans, because this is an abomination. He's going to be singing in Spanish. This is some really cheeseball stuff, but it's all divide and conquer. Have you heard about that? The Turning Point USA, their alternative halftime show?
Well, yeah, I heard of that. But what was crazy is there's a guy in the community who has a YouTube channel. Is Dr. Savage. And Dr. Savage called that before it happened. He made a post. He made a post about it, like, I don't know, like maybe like 3 or 4 days. And I remember reading it. I was like, that would be interesting if they do that. And then like a couple days later, they announced that. I was like, wow, that was a perfect call. So big shout out to him. He's somebody I need to bring on. He was a bit upset he doesn't get brought on because he's been around the community for a while and been doing amazing stuff just like that. And he called it. He called it dead on.
Yeah, I mean, it'd be great to have him on. In fact, maybe have him on, talk about that Decode is.
Yeah.
You know, you should have him on. But so the theme that's been going on here is Spain. It's Spanish versus English, which is England, Britain versus Spain. So this is Spain, Britain, Spanish, English, kind of, I don't know, conflict, competition. That's been a theme, and this has been going on outside of. Okay, now it's come to the Super Bowl, but it was there outside of the Super Bowl. So in soccer, this rivalry has emerged between Spain and England. So the Spanish. So every 4 years you have the Women's World Cup, and every 4 years you have the Men's and Women's World Cup. They're every 4 years, and you have the Men's and Women's European Championships every 4 years. So in the Women's World Cup, Spain defeated England in the final. This is in Australia. Again, land down under in Australia. The Spanish women defeated the English women. 2 years after that was the men's European Championship, which was Spain versus England in the final, and Spain defeated England. Then after that was, I guess this is most recent, that was this year, was the final of the Women's European Championship, and the final again was Spain versus England. Now, I figured, I mean, I didn't predict this, but once I saw the finalists, I figured that England would win because Spain had beaten England twice. The Spanish men defeated the English men in the European Championship, and the Spanish women had defeated the English women in the World Cup final. Another Spain-England final. This time for the Women's European Championship. The reason I figured England would win is because this looked like it was based on, esoterically, ritually, on the defeat of the Spanish Armada. And a lot of this had to do with Hulk Hogan being in the news, because Hulk Hogan wears a red and yellow, which is the colors of Spain, and he had Miss Elizabeth as part of the trio with him and Randy Savage. And that's an allusion to Elizabeth I. It was under Elizabeth I that the Spanish Armada was defeated, because Spain was the dominant empire in the world at the time because of the Armada. It was, and so I do show there's I guess a famous painting of the surrender of the Spaniards to the British forces, or English anyway. And it's on the HMS Revenge. So I said Revenge is a theme there. That's why I figured the Revenge will be England defeating Spain. But who was the leader of the British forces who defeated the Spanish Armada? It was Sir Francis Drake. Which another reason why I thought Drake would be in the Super Bowl. But now that it's not Drake, this even ties in even more, because by adding Bad Bunny to it, now you've thrown in the extra element of Spanish versus English. And Drake is in the middle of it. Sir Francis Drake, who defeated the Spanish Armada. So that's another theme that's going on.
Yeah, and I remember you talking all about that. And then Spain was a huge theme also earlier in the year. There was that blackout in Spain, and then that car crash in Spain, right?
Yep.
And so there was just so much Spain stuff. And then the guy that won the Indianapolis 500 was a Spanish guy.
Oh, okay, that's another.
And that connects back to the Indianapolis thing probably, because the Indianapolis 500, they go in circles, like just like Indianapolis is Circle City, cycles. And did you see that, AJ, while you were gone, we discovered that Bad Bunny's name is Ocasio, like the watch?
No, I missed that part.
Yeah, I figured you weren't here to see that. So
Wow.
Look at that. It's like literally Rambo was talking about. I'm glad he caught that, because I knew his last name, but it wouldn't have registered because I wasn't thinking of it like that. But it's O, like the cycle, like the O, and the
That's
Cosby.
unbelievable. Oh my God, man.
Yeah, I've actually been doing a lot of work on the Super Bowl and the Bad Bunny connection. And so that's why, so I've seen, there's a lot. I don't even know if I'll even be able to put it all out. There's a lot of, especially doing the Alice in Wonderland and Bad Bunny. And when I saw the Casio watch thing, I knew right away. And of course, he's the March Hare. The March Hare it's all related to time. He's at the tea party of the Mad Hatter, and they're stuck at 6:00 p.m. They're just stuck forever at 6:00 p.m. So it's about time. So what they say is, so the official story is that the Mad Hatter, he tried to sing to the Queen, and he was so bad and off that he murdered time, and that was his punishment.
Well, and you did mention the 6 o'clock. Well, Toronto, right? Known as the 6. I'm pretty sure Drake has an album called The 6, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah. So there you go. Add another layer to it with that.
And I do find it interesting that his full name equals Robert Francis Prevost, Pope Leo XIV. You combine his full name and his full title, it does have a one cipher match. It also equals President of the United States in one cipher. But yeah, that's just a gematria connection. But and I think that wait, what is it that? Hold on. Yeah, maybe it was something else. But yeah, I definitely think this is and like you said earlier, Rambo, this year is Super Bowl 60. 60 is basically the full cycle, 60 minutes around the clock, right? I mean, it's pretty much like almost like symbolic of you've completed your 1 hour, you've completed your 60 minutes, you've gone around the clock in a full circle, which is also why I believe that Super Bowl 50 was also in San Francisco, because 50 is the gematria of circle, right? So circle equals 50 in gematria. The last Super Bowl in San Francisco was Super Bowl 50, and now 10 years later, when 10 is also a number of completion, coming back around, 10 years later, you get to Super Bowl 60, which, again, is what I just said, the 60 minutes, the full circle around the clock. And like I said, WWE's been paying tribute to this with the watch that just Cody Rhodes just got hit with a watch the other night to lose the match. And then again, Circle City in Indianapolis being a big key to this too, being the best team in the league this year, at least. If anything, that's the reason they're the best team in the league. They might just finish with, maybe their destiny is to finish with the best record in the league and then lose in the first round, because that happens a lot.
Yeah,
But I mean,
there's also been a lot of underdog stuff going on. When I first got on the U, I think there's a big underdog theme, and there was a huge one in soccer in England, a major historic underdog win. But it's usually involving green and yellow, but still.
Is that the same one that we covered, or is it a different one?
No, that we covered. I don't think I did. I think I did cover it. It was, you're talking about the big upset in English soccer.
Yeah, we touched on that one.
Yeah,
Pretty sure.
What was the name of the team from Turkey, right?
Oh no, that's a different one. So that was in the Champions League.
Oh, okay.
But it was an underdog, but it wasn't like a ridiculous underdog. So there's one other one in English soccer. And this is when I just done my decodes on the Subway sandwich. I knew that was a big incident just because the address was 2001. That was Subway, and then Pam Bondi got involved in it, which is ridiculous. Why would the highest office of law enforcement in the United States get involved in a guy throwing a sandwich? So there's more to it, and it's on U Street. Think of the German U-boat. It's underboat. And this is another thing. So Alice in Wonderland, before he went with Alice in Wonderland as the title, or even the realm that Alice was in, Lewis Carroll called it Wonderland. He had initially wanted to call it Underland. So Alice in Wonderland ties into this theme I've been talking about, the U and the underworld. It was initially referred to as Underland, not Wonderland. And so there've been a lot of underdog going around. But I've been thinking, just because it's attached to green and yellow, either the team wearing green and yellow, if they're the favorite, will get upset, or an underdog wearing green and yellow will get upset. But yeah, there could be an upset, because I see a lot of the Chiefs coding is very strong. The Chiefs, and also if you go with the Spain-England theme, the Spanish-English theme, then red. You think that red and yellow, the colors of Spain, might be involved, which I know that ticks a box for the Chiefs. And then red and white is the flag of England, or red, white, and blue. So, I mean, the Buffalo Bills are red, white, and blue, but the 49ers are red and white. So, yeah, just different things to consider. But, yeah, there's a lot of Chiefs coding, yeah.
And like I said, the very first game of the year, after all that 4-4-4 stuff in the first game of the season, it immediately connected to Patrick Mahomes because of all the 4 stuff. But then what happened right after that? Well, the Chiefs went like 0-3, didn't they, or something like that, or 0-2 at least. And so it kind of took the attention off of them. And then the Colts came out. So I just noticed this pattern. Even before I even realized it was all rigged, I just noticed the weird patterns that just the weird things. They'll have a team be hot, and then all of a sudden they'll lose in the first round, right? And then the team that goes under the radar, that's supposed to be the good team, that's like sucks for a while, they'll end up coming back and end up being back in the Super Bowl like you would have expected. I just seen that so many times.
Just look at what happened with the Broncos this past weekend. They were down 32-0 in the fourth quarter, and they rattle off 33 straight points to win the game.
Was it that many? I didn't realize it was that many.
Dude, they didn't score the entire game. They were down 32-0 in the fourth quarter, and then they rattle off 33 points.
That reminds me of the game a few years ago. A game a few years ago that the Colts were in. The Colts were up like 33-0 or something like that, and then the Vikings came back and won. Remember that?
I don't remember that one, but I mean,
yeah, that happened. That was
I remember that one. I remember that one. That was before this one. That was the biggest deficit. I think the latest comeback. Yeah,
and the Colts started the season scoring 33 points against the Miami Dolphins. And the reason that's interesting is because all the Colts. The reason that the Colts will not be in here is because you guys know all the Colts Super Bowls have been in the same place. Like everyone they've been to has been in the same place, Miami. Wow. So if the Super Bowl is not in Miami, the Colts aren't going. That's pretty much. But what's interesting is that the first team they beat this year, 33-8, was Miami. The next team they beat. was the Broncos, who were in Super Bowl 50 in San Francisco.
Right.
So that's kind of feels like a bit of clues there, maybe, but who knows?
No,
But
so Bad
Go ahead.
Bunny does have a Miami connection. This is not Bad Bunny's first Super Bowl halftime show. He's been in another Super Bowl halftime show. He just wasn't the headline performer. He was in Super Bowl 54 in Miami.
Wow.
And the reason I caught on that because I watched the video to Mia, which is I think he has to perform Mia. When I was watching the video to Mia, which is very basic, it's just a party, but you need to kind of look for clues. It's a bunch of models. This is full of just models it looks like it's located in Miami. They're at a party, they're all dancing. They're only like 4 guys and like it's like 40 models and like 4 or 5 guys. But one of the guys in the video, they're not performers or artists. It's Drake, it's Bad Bunny, and then like 3 other guys. So one of the guys has a baseball cap backwards and it said LIV on it, but it looks like NFL font. So I said, oh, so this must be a clue to Super Bowl LIV, 54. And it's real quick. It's just a little thing. But I'm like really studying the video because, obvious reasons to decode it. And then I saw Bad Bunny was in Super Bowl 54. And he was in the halftime show. So the head performers there it was Jennifer Lopez and Shakira. So they had a Spanish theme there. And of course, we forget that because nobody made a big deal of it. There's no also Tea Party. Think of the political party Tea Party, where that's kind of has this kind of MAGA turning points, kind of ultra kind of conservative type theme, the Tea Party, that I guess is morphed into MAGA and I guess turning point. That the Tea Party was the precursor to that. So that kind of ties in as well. Tea Party 106. But they had that Spanish themed Miami halftime, and they were singing in Spanish. And no one said anything. So there was divide and conquer. It's a ritual stuff that they do. Like, how come this went off without a glitch and no one had an issue with that? It came and went. And now they're making it an issue. Because, so Bad Bunny was in the halftime show of Super Bowl 54. And that's your Miami connection as well. So, that would help the Colts too, because Bad Bunny kind of does bring in. And also the song Mia, M-I-A. That's an abbreviation for Miami.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so...
Yeah, well, in Rambo, I'm not sure if you have any of this in your notes, just about the Tea Party that you've stressed a bit with Alice in Wonderland and the time themes. Don't forget, you guys, that we've also talked a little bit as far as the NHL, right, with the wheel symbolism, the circle symbolism, and the jersey in the background. What was it? It was like a commercial, and it was the Boston Bruins logo. If you know where I'm going with this, think about the Boston Tea Party. Right. So there could be, if we're shifting gears to the NFL or NHL, which just started, and the Tea Party connections with time and everything, as we know, right, a lot of this stuff are rituals in time, essentially paying tribute to things in the past. Just take note of the Boston Tea Party. I'm sure there's plenty there.
Yeah, I did think of the Boston Tea Party, but I couldn't make a connection. I couldn't really make a. So anytime Tea Party is 106. It's about the Mad Hatter, and that's the straw hat. To me, that's the real thing that nails it. The March hair and the straw hat which he wears. But yeah, so again, it's not Bad Bunny's first Super Bowl halftime show, which I know very few people have noticed it. I only noticed because I watched the video and I saw LIV on the hat. Yeah, he came on the opening song, so he kind of came and went. But yeah, it's not. He did the one in Miami. Which was very Spanish theme. Gloria Estefan. Not Gloria, I'm sorry. It was Shakira and Jennifer Lopez. And then there's another rapper, a Spanish rapper.
I do not mean to kind of cut off or anything. Cody, I do see your request to share screen. We'll do that in just a second. But shout out King Bags. Breaking news. Rambo, did you see the Atlanta shooter today in the F-150 truck?
I had no idea.
I didn't know about
this. This is the latest because I don't know. I guess he must have seen he must be one of my patrons who's seen the full video. Or maybe my comments, but
is it in your video?
I've talked about F-150. It's all about F-150.
No. I mean the
no, not this. But no, this happened. I hadn't seen it. I'm glad he told me. I had not seen it. I'll just have to do a decode on this because I've been talking. So this does happen a lot. I'll just talk about something. I'm not predicting anything. Like I'll talk about the bunny. Like who knew? I was talking about bunnies. I was talking about, I don't know, Back to the Future. And then it just blows up in the whole thing. Like suddenly Back to the Future is doing this thing on the lost guitar, and the Boston Bruins are bringing Back to the Future. I just started talking about it because I saw that Michael Jordan's son had his car stuck on the train tracks. And things like this happen. I mean, I've done it a ton of times. So I focus on the Ford symbolism, and it is a thing. It's a major thing, specifically the F-150. Also remember that they say in the official story that Charlie Kirk was shot at from 150 yards. This Ford F-150 is huge. The year started in New Orleans on Bourbon Street with a Ford F-150 plowing into New Year's Day revelers. And then just like hours apart in Las Vegas, outside Trump Hotel, a Cybertruck. And I show a clip from, you go to the Wikipedia page on Cybertruck. Elon Musk said that the Cybertruck, he compared the Cybertruck to a Ford F-150. So when the Cybertruck exploded on New Year's Day, same day as the F-150 on Bourbon Street hitting New Year's revelers, there was a white pickup which looks like a Ford F-150. I can't say for certain, but this one looks like a very similar white pickup. So what are the odds that these two major events on New Year's Day involve a white pickup? But it looks like a Ford F-150. It's right in front of the Tesla Cybertruck that blows up in Las Vegas, outside of Trump Hotel. So, and I talked about the arrest of Ryan Wesley Ralph. His arrest. There's this big Ford F-150 belonging to law enforcement, but Ralph himself drove a Nissan Xterra, but he stole some license plate to put from another car to put him on his Nissan Xterra. The license plate he stole were from a Ford F-150. So this is what I've been stressing. So King Bags, shout out to King Bags. This is new, latest news. I didn't know about it, but it just validates what I've been talking about. So I appreciate him letting me know about that. I had no idea.
Yeah, so this was today at an Atlanta airport. This is just the first article I found out. Apparently, this is the guy, Billy Joe Cagle, 49 years old. That's interesting. The 49 connections. Yeah, all I saw was that they just mentioned like his truck. So in a news conference, Atlanta chief said he believed Cagle was going back to his truck, likely to use that weapon in the crowded terminal he had just seen.
Yeah, I've been looking at a lot of articles while you guys were talking. I didn't see anywhere where it said Ford. I'm assuming you'll find somewhere probably where it does say that, but most of the articles are just saying his pickup truck. But I mean, okay. The person in the chat said he was a Ford F-150, so I'm assuming he read that somewhere.
Awake is saying that this was not today. Apache says, I think it was yesterday. It might be the case. I mean, this article is timestamped today, published the 21st, but maybe I mean, articles come out like the day after things happen. So
you're spitting hairs there. It's just, it doesn't really matter if it's today or yesterday. So
yeah, yeah, exactly. All right, but yeah, hey, Codes, let me pass you the floor here.
Yeah, I was just decoding him while you guys were talking. I was just looking into his name, Billy Cagle, does equal 88. Interesting.
Can't get away from this.
But yeah, it just says Atlanta shooter. It was on October 20th. It says.
Okay. Well,
it's interesting because yesterday was all synced up with Kamala Harris. Kamala Harris actually has a lot of 106 connections. 106 is a Black history number as well. And but like anyway, yesterday was her birthday, and of course her full name equals 280. And that yesterday was 280 days before the Super Bowl. Or no, it was 280 days before the birthday of Doug Martin, I think. And Doug, did you see that? So Doug Martin's original name on Wiki was just Doug Martin. And then they changed it to Douglas Matthew Barron. Like, it's just the weirdest name you'll ever see. If you look up his middle name, they added it after he died. Because the first thing I looked at originally was you just saw Douglas Martin. Well, then they added Douglas Matthew Barron. And I was like, what the heck kind of middle name is that? But when you decode it, it actually shows you exactly why they added Matthew Barron, because it actually gives you perfect gematria. Because again, Kamala Devi Harris equals 280. That game yesterday between the Bucks and the Lions was 280 days before his birthday, like Joseph just said in the chat. So they added that name. And again, this is why you can't really question it. Why would they add that name? And that's the name that brought him to 280, which is the amount of days. So, and that connects to Kamala Devi Harris because that was her birthday yesterday. And that's what her name equals. 280. And
she's got that 109 too.
Right. Well, and you know where she's from? She's from Oakland. Now, where was Douglas Matthew Barron Martin from? He was from Oakland. So this was all a Kamala Harris riddle. I mean, all this stuff the last days really was actually connected to her because of because it was her birthday and she's from Oakland. And this was actually connected also to the earthquake. Remember the World Series earthquake in 1989?
I do.
Well, this guy, Doug Martin from Oakland, he died essentially on the anniversary of that earthquake in Oakland. He's from Oakland. And we just had the World Series get decided for who's going there. And, so, I mean, I don't know, maybe we get an earthquake soon just because this was definitely connected to that earthquake. Doug Martin was actually born in 89, the same year as that earthquake. So, like, that was so clear, it was also a tribute to that earthquake.
Mr. S even just quoted the lyrics of "They Not Like Us, They Not Like Us, Oakland Gonna Be Your Last Stop." Kendrick Lamar to Drake. That's really? That's interesting, especially with just Oakland. Like all the Oakland teams are moving now to Vegas. I think that's interesting with all the shooting connections, the infamous Vegas shooting back in 2017 to kick off October. But think about Tupac, right? Oakland fan. I think he's from Oakland, and then he was shot and killed reportedly in Vegas. But the Super Bowl was just in Vegas. What was it last year? Year before, something like that. But anyways, nice addition, Mr. S.
Yeah, he was born in Oakland and died in Oakland. And he died in Oakland essentially on the anniversary of the Oakland earthquake.
Wow.
So that's why I'm like, okay, we got to probably be watching for an earthquake here. I mean, I don't know what anyone's saying, but this California earthquake, we're way overdue for one, aren't we? I mean, come on. Like, I mean, I just feel like whenever that actually ends up happening, it's going to be a big one. Like, because obviously you get earthquakes every day there, but whenever they decide to pull the trigger on a huge one, it's not going to be good. I mean, and that just brings me back to the San Francisco earthquake, 1906, the big one. And the fact that the Super Bowl is going to be in San Francisco. And how that might tie in to why this guy died when he did.
Mm-hmm. Shout out to how do you say this? Spatium Viator. Did you guys know that the Ford Bronco came out in 1966 on a year of the horse? Okay, that's interesting. Next year, the year of the fire horse, and the first Super Bowl era season. In the following horse year, Denver lost in the Super Bowl in 78. Then in 90 and 2014, all horse years. That's interesting too, because shout out to you, Rambo, again for your awesome work on the that whole talk about the upside down golf cart flip of John. It was like John Elway's like agent or something.
Yeah. So yeah, it didn't flip upside down. So on golf carts, you can ride on the back. So there's space for passengers to just a handlebar you hold on to, and you ride on the back, which is common because there's not, you have the driver, you have one seat next to the driver, and then if you want to, anyone else has to just ride on the back. So this thing, he fell off the back.
Let me tell you something. It's funny you're saying this, Rambo, because this weekend, I went with my sister goes to Bowling Green College in Ohio, and they were playing Central Michigan. We went to the game, and my sister's grandmother. It's not my grandmother because I have different mothers, but she's disabled, so we had to take a golf cart to take us to the stadium. And man, I got on the back with my little sister on the back of that golf cart, and this lady that's driving it took off, and I'd never been on one, but when she took off, I about flew off the back of that golf cart. So I can see how easy it would be for someone to get hurt, because those handlebars on the back of that, they don't. You better be holding on, because if somebody just decides to take off, you're going to go flying off of that thing. So just to add to what you're saying, Rambo, I just thought that just from personal experience on the back of a golf cart, my first experience was like, man, I got to hold on.
Yeah, AJ was making a point there. Oh,
No.
Oh, yeah.
No, I'm here. I guess I was just bringing that up because we've talked about the Broncos. John Elway is John Denver, right? Yeah. I mean, I would argue he's probably the biggest name sports-wise across all sports for Denver. No?
Absolutely,
I mean, so someone could try to debate me on that. That's fine. I'm just saying, like, when I think of the Broncos, I think of John Elway, you know? And then obviously Peyton Manning came in, you know, beating Father Time. That's a theme too when you think about LeBron James entering his 23rd year, him against Father Time in those commercials. But point is the whole John Elway story where he wasn't. I don't even think he was actually at the golf course when this happened. I don't think. But,
no, they were on the golf course.
Oh, okay. So he was there, and then
John Elway was driving the golf cart.
Oh, okay.
And then Elway,
that's what it was.
I guess his wife, Elway's wife, was in the passenger seat. And then riding on the back was Jeff Spurbeck, who was his business partner, friend, and former agent. And then there was Johnny Bananas. Johnny Bananas, I mean, you're familiar with him. He's this big reality TV star. Like, he's made a whole career. He's like, if there's a reality TV Hall of Fame, I guess Trump would be the top guy in there. Johnny Bananas would be up there. He's been in just all sorts of reality shows. And that's an interesting story because the police did not show up. It was a Saturday. The police weren't told until Monday. It's like all sorts of strange stuff.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I just want to throw that out. I mean, you know, as we know, like, you know, these kinds of stories happen typically within the bookend year of these next big Super Bowls, World Series, NBA Finals, that kind of stuff. So who knows? This Denver Broncos thing could, you know.
Yeah, and golf ties into. You see how golf ties into a lot of these time travel or dimensional travel works.
Hence why Donnie Darko meets Frank the Bunny on the golf course.
Yeah. Donnie Darko has, you know, he's on the golf course. That's where, I think he had met Frank the Bunny. I think before that, Frank the Bunny kind of led him out of his bed and onto the golf course. That's actually how he initially avoids. Oh no. Well, that's something else. But nonetheless, Donnie Darko has the golf, and also think of Space Jam with Bugs Bunny and Michael Jordan. Michael Jordan goes through the dimensional portal into the cartoon world, which is kind of like Wonderland, but it's through a golf course. Where Michael Jordan goes down, he's on the green, and then he gets pulled down the golf course and goes through this portal into the cartoon world. So golf is. I also say when golf was first invented. Very, very first invented. They actually used to use rabbit holes to knock balls into rabbit holes. Yeah, it's actually part of the history of golf. Like one of my patrons, actually, I wish I could remember who said it.
This, this all stems back to the extensive work we've all touched on with Happy Gilmore, right? And back to my book, The Hand, years ago at this point. And then now they rolled out Happy Gilmore 2 with Travis Kelce in it. I apologize to whoever was in the chat because I couldn't even get through all of Happy Gilmore 2. I saw probably about half of it, but apparently Bad Bunny is in that movie, and he's like oiling up Travis Kelce with like whatever. I don't know if whoever commented that, if you can bring that back into the chat. I don't know exactly what scene that is. I probably didn't get to it, but yeah, Bad Bunny is in Happy Gilmore 2, a golf movie, and apparently. Oh, yeah, it's honey. Okay, he's rubbing honey on Travis Kelce. Okay.
I mean, could that be a Chiefs clue again? Another Chiefs clue for the Super Bowl?
It could be. I mean, my book, The Hand, had Travis Kelce in it because he had a hand injury on his way to the last Super Bowl that he won, and that was against the Dolphins, going back to the Sea of Hands play back in the 70s. But this is way before they even announced Happy Gilmore 2. And then when they did that, Travis Kelce's in it too. Like, I think he's like the only football player that's in it. But
I wonder when him and Taylor Swift are getting married, because if they really just gonna they're milking this thing with Taylor Swift, the NFL. You know, I mean, they're just. I know they're supposed to get married because I know that they got engaged. So I'm wondering, wonder if they're supposed to get married before the Super Bowl or after. But that's something they'll think about too, with Travis Kelce being part of this. I mean, and also, somebody in the chat mentioned that golf cart equals gateway equals portal. It's interesting. And golf actually equals blue in gematria. So I don't know how that connects, but it is interesting.
Hey, Joe. Just want to say hi. Thank you for joining. Hugs always. I appreciate it. I need it. Taylor is swiftly becoming too old, Viv says. Yeah, I don't know yet. I mean, you got to think when they announce whenever that date is, if it ends up happening. That'd be funny if they pulled the rug underneath everybody and was like, no, the engagement's off. They're broken up. They're after all this. You never know.
That's why I'm really watching this game, though. I got up here on the 23rd of November because I think with these two teams being possibly the two contenders to go, my biggest two contenders for sure to go, it'll be interesting to see who wins that game. I noticed that a lot of times whoever wins, like if the teams meet again, like in the playoffs, right, which they probably will if they're going to both make it close to the Super Bowl, if whoever wins this game, I would look for the opposite to happen in the playoffs. That's how I've noticed it happens. I usually just notice that whoever, if the two teams meet again in the playoffs, usually the team does both the team that won during the regular season does not win again in the playoffs. The other team gets the revenge. I've seen that at least 90% of the time. Maybe a few times it doesn't happen, but 90% of the time, the team that loses in the regular season will end up winning if they meet again in the playoffs.
Yeah,
so,
no, I've seen that too. Definitely that duality thing. Kind of
yeah,
similar
they
to what we just saw
that.
with Drake. Drake got shit on, in pardon my French, back in the Super Bowl, and then now here he is on his birthday. He gets to sit and watch his team in the World Series.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Kind of similar, but yeah,
they love to do that balancing out of energy thing. I guess that's what you would call it, balancing out the thing, But I can only remember a few times that since I've been watching as a kid that didn't happen.
Sure.
And even as a kid, before I knew about this rigging, I was like, wait, doesn't it seem like every time one team loses in the regular season, then they meet again, and then the other team ends up getting the revenge? It happened so many times I can remember. Even with the Colts did the same thing back when the Patriots always would beat them. And then one year the Colts made it to the Super Bowl. The Colts actually came back and beat the Patriots in the playoffs and got revenge. I remember that. I remember that specifically. So it's just something to think about with those teams being both involved.
Yeah, so like I said, revenge could be a theme because it was the HMS, Her Majesty's ship. HMS Revenge is that's one of the ships that defeated the Spanish Armada, and Sir Francis Drake led the British forces. So that's part of the Spanish-English thing that you're going to. What I'm intrigued to find out is who Turning Points has for their lineup, for their whatever they're called. I don't know, patriotic alternative halftime show. They haven't yet announced.
Yeah. Shout out to the chat. You guys are the best. I mean, it's hard for me to keep up sometimes with all these awesome additions to our conversation. So I appreciate you all very much. Sally Whitty says a bunny is featured on the Queen of Pentacles card in the tarot. It's the tarot, right? Yeah.
Yeah, tarot. Yeah.
The Queen of Pentacles represents not bound by gender, which is also what Bad Bunny represents. So it's a great observation.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah, great observation. Thanks.
And then a great calm. We were talking briefly just about the thoughts of the Boston Tea Party, the Tea Party connections with Alice in Wonderland, Time, etc. Boston Tea Party protesters mad. Britain allowed East India Co. to sell tea without tax. Francis Drake sailed into the East Indies, Spice Island, which was then known to Spain and Portugal. Okay, so there is a Spanish connection with the Boston Tea Party. I apologize, I didn't pay much attention back in my day learning about the Boston Tea Party. I've heard of the Boston Tea Party. I know that tea was dumped in the, all that kind of stuff, but you know.
I only started becoming so interested in history once I got into this work. In school, I was
Right.
like, who gives a crap about the Tea
Yeah.
Party? And
You and me
now it
both, bro.
becomes 100% more interesting, though, because now I actually use this to figure out the secrets of the Matrix. So history becomes extensively more important once you realize it's all scripted.
That's so well said, Cody, because and this is all props to Rambo. Like, when I first got into coding and whatnot, it's very, very basic A1, B2, C3 number connections, right? But once I came across Rambo's work, it was just a night and day difference. And you would be an amazing teacher, Rambo. Like, I wish I could go back to high school, college, and have you as my professor, because
Rambo is my real teacher. I would love that.
exactly.
No, thanks. So so like Cody said, so this is how Cody just explained it. When you're young, I used to hate history too. I feel awful for the history teacher I had. I just didn't realize what I had. He was actually a PhD. He was a brilliant guy. But I didn't appreciate, like, he was a great teacher, but I just wasn't interested. So this is the thing. So how Cody said now he's interested. Thanks, not joking. How Cody said he wasn't interested in history before. I think this is why, because history teachers have to make history, demonstrate how relevant history is today. So and this is the way I looked at it as a kid. I think most of us looked at it. This stuff is over. It's from the past. Why are we talking about this? But you have to show. Now what we do is we go even a step further. It's not just this is how history provides a context for what is happening now. No, it ties into other things. When we say what's happening now, it's the news, it's popular culture. And of course, you're not going to teach this in high schools or middle school, whatever. But we've seen it's astrology, it's the mystery traditions, tarot, it's mythology, it's religion. That all ties in along with history, and it manifests today in so many areas, including sports. Of course, they're not going to teach you that in school. How the defeat of the Spanish Armada by Great Britain ties into the Super Bowl. Of course, you're not going to go that far.
Hey, kids. So 9/11 happened, and we had the Patriot Act, and then the Patriots go on to be the greatest NFL dynasty of all time. Don't you guys think that's interesting?
I think they should show, like, without any. You should show them Hulk Hogan's, and I found that out from you. I didn't even know about the Hulk Hogan thing of the twin. I found out from you, AJ. I think, why shouldn't kids be shown that? Okay, without an opinion, just show that Hulk Hogan back in 1989 and Randy Savage and the announcer, his name is just another Gene. I forgot his name, Gene. I think Cody probably knows his last name. He's a very famous WWE announcer. He talks about
Mean Gene Okerlund.
Yeah, Gene Okerlund. There you go. Yeah, Gene says terror attacks. So will the Twin Towers continue the terror attacks? So he's specific about that. They showed a graphic of what on TV of what looked like the World Trade Center Twin Towers, and then the whole thing of between Savage and Hogan about bringing down the Twin Towers. Why not show that to that's just facts. That's not a theory. Right. That's just facts. They said this, and there are all these details: terror attacks, Twin Tower symbolism, and that can, of course, that would never happen. Of course. But just showing how all these things tie in today, and not just the news today, the movies, popular culture, history, sports, and you show how history is relevant to that. A lot more children would be interested in history when you see, wow, it's that relevant. Yes.
Yeah, Rambo, with what you were just saying, I'm sure most people have heard that phrase about, if you don't know your history, it's doomed to repeat itself, right? Well, I find some literal truth to that. I guess I'm not disagreeing with that kind of statement, but with what Cody was saying and kind of this topic we're on right now, I really feel it's the these occult, mystic things that we're seeing. We're like, that's what it really means. If you don't know your history, it's doomed to repeat itself. You're going to see it repeat over and over again. But if you don't know about it, you're never going to see how what we've been talking about, right, could be related to the Spanish Armada, the Boston Tea Party, all the 9/11 rituals we've seen over the years, all that kind of stuff, right?
I think the biggest thing, so what is the history of the human race? It's a history of war. You type in any date, like just in Wikipedia or Google, whatever, just type in any random date in history, and and see what you can just a date, not necessarily a year, but just a date. What happened on, just put a random date, like February 15th or February 18th, whatever, just a random date, and see throughout history what happened on that date. It's always battles and wars. The battle of this, the battle of that. This is the history of the human race. So the one thing is Mars as the god of war, that alone would be the most effective way to demonstrate how astrology ties into history. It's just how Mars has been coded into war and conflict just throughout, even up to modern day, even the insurrection, supposedly a modern day civil war at the Capitol insurrection of Donald Trump. That was in was it 2021? What was the date? It was January 6th. That's or 6th. No, sorry, it was January 6th or 6th January, 6/1 or 1/6. And that's, I mean, in gematria, Ares, that's Mars from Greece. Ares is 16. The Tower card represents Mars in tarot. That's tarot card number 16. You know, and Abraham Lincoln, who oversaw the Civil War, was the 16th president. So yeah, what a coincidence that they started Civil War in the Capitol on 1/6.
Right.
That's the, of all the astrology symbols, Mars as the god of war is the one that you have an abundance of examples of how that ties into. And this is modern day history. It's Donald Trump. We're not even talking about all the other stuff, but yeah, I think that's the prime example to use is Mars as the god of war, to bring in mythology and symbolism and astrology and history and the modern current news.
Yeah, they'll teach you about astronomy, but it's it's not to say there aren't astrology courses out there, but the emphasis is way more of like, that's the Big Dipper over there.
So another thing with astronomy, look at who discovered certain things. So like somebody who discovered Venus or discovered something related to Venus, or somebody who made you'll see that their zodiac signs very often tie into the ruling planet of, I guess, I don't know if it's the person who discovered Venus or something, but somebody Venus related. He discovered something with Venus. Well, Venus rules Libra and Taurus, and I think he's a Taurus. But you'll see how that, even NASA, when they do different space launches, they send probes over to certain planets. The day, the day they'll either take a picture and like send it back to Earth, or the day that the probe arrived in the orbit of such and such a planet. It ties into astrology. It depends what sign that planet rules. That's the date on which they'll say that the probe arrived in that orbit. It's so consistent.
Yeah. Cody, I brought you the screen back. I did just want to, I had the same kind of question in my head. And I think it's what Rambo, you probably get this question the most. I get it all the time. And I feel like my answers change now and again, but Brandon says the world is a stage. Who controls the actors, right? Who writes the script? Who's turning the lights on? Who's opening the curtain? Like, I would say most people in this community would agree the world is a stage. Shout out Candace Owens telling the world is a stage, and I am a Mason. I am a Mason of Turning Point USA, etc.
Did she say that?
Yeah, she literally said, I am a Mason of Turning Point USA, and this world is a stage, and it's full of actors and actresses and all that. And like that, I can send you a couple of videos on it. I mean, Candace Owens herself is an actress.
Wow, I never knew she said I am a Mason. I never knew.
Yeah, to clarify, she says I am one of the Masons of Turning Point USA.
Oh wow.
This was one of the first podcasts she did, I think, right after the news about Charlie Kirk. But in that same little rant she did, she said, the world is a stage. You're looking at actors and actresses, etc., and I am one of the Masons of Turning Point USA. So if you just went to Google and type that in, you would find it quickly.
Oh, wow. I didn't know about that.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, that raises the biggest question, right? So like, who's writing the script? Who controls the actors? Who's puppeteering these people, That's a loaded question, It's tough because I feel like there's kind of bits and truth on different things about it. I mean, like Cody pointed out with Wikipedia and what we've seen with Snake Eyes, right? Seeing the date October 10th, and then it changes to the 19th, and then it goes back to the 10th, and then it goes away. And then like someone or something, you would think, right? Like somebody here on Earth is like changing that in Wikipedia, for example, and or changing the middle name of, like KODI pointed out about the death of Doug Martin, for example. But then there's some other things that are so much bigger where it's like, how could you even possibly orchestrate it, right? So that's why that's a very big question to wrap your arms around,
Yeah, I think it might involve a supercomputer, and I think it also does involve the spiritual aspect. Like magic does work. And in fact, they say magic and science are actually the same thing, because science, you can do things through science, which would be considered magic. And even those who they have these different whistleblowers and people, from behind the scenes with, the U.S. intelligence and the private space program and these other, high level scientific programs. They say they actually use that expression as magic. Mm-hmm. This is just a whole nother topic that I will go off on. But yeah, there are things that they've done through technology, which are just magic. They even use that term. And it's not just the United States government. It's around the world. Chinese government, Australia, Europe, India. They do things with technology that are just, it's magic. Mm-hmm. So part of the reason they're able to coordinate a lot of this is it's technology that we're not aware of, and it's also spiritual. It's also magic. Yeah, it's magic and advanced science as well.
Yeah, the best way I could kind of explain it to certain people over the years is that because I agree. I think it's a combination of both of some kind, where they, in order for these rituals through magic, et cetera, to kind of play out, you need to have what I like to say, boots on the ground, kind of doing what they need to do to fulfill the ritual and for the magic essentially to kind of do what it needs to do for everything to happen. But it's just that's just my own kind of interpretation of it. It's not just 100% a supercomputer or people like, in magnets and whatever, but it's not 100% just we're all bopping around here and like just we don't have control over anything, right? Like I think that there is, we've talked about it, 6-7, the balance thing, right? Like, I think it's a combination of both.
This world is a mysterious place.
This
is a very mysterious place. It's an understatement.
I do want to be cognizant of time. We're right at that 2:12 mark. I've had a blast with you guys, but I understand it's getting late. But KODI, I saw you did request to share your screen. You are muted, but yeah, I'll pass things off to you. And if there's anything else we want to touch on as we kind of start landing the plane here, pun intended.
Yeah, not really a lot else to say. Just I think Rambo's right there. I've mentioned this many times. Like I think that like the ultimate source of manifestation, God manifestation. I think that there's magic is a manifestation process, and even if these people aren't able to sit down and do every figure, they can certainly use magic or science or manifest these things. Like our minds are strong. I found that out in August when I was talking about a car crash all month, and then my own stepfather got in a car crash. There's a lot of power in the way we put towards these, whatever we put our minds to, right? Like we can make it, right? So I think that's just kind of my theory. I don't want to go too deep on it, but just that's kind of what I was thinking.
Like that photo we showed earlier where I took that photo of Club 201 and then I shared that with Rambo. I never would have seen the Martin. Like it's not named Martin. The bottle is angled at a certain spot where it just says Martin. Like I never would have seen that without like Rambo. And that's why I feel like, this is all around all of us. It's just a matter of whether or not you want to see it. It's there. It's around all of us. So.
Yeah. And I think, as far as, I don't know, I'm trying to think why I had this page up. I was going to say something. Rambo had just brought up something about Hulk Hogan in the Twin Tower thing. And I brought this up and I'm trying to remember what I was going to say. Oh, I was going to say this ties into the, this guy who just won last night. Notice how his thing is main event Jey Uso, right? Well, Hulk Hogan was part of the main event, and this was a show that there was only 5 of them, and the second one was the one where they said the Twin Towers are going to come down. That was the second one, main event 2. But the first one, look where it was. Indianapolis.
Oh my God, man.
The first one was in Indianapolis in Market, like the markets, Market Square. Funny, it was in Market Square Arena in Circle City. So it's like the squaring the circle riddle there. But yeah, that first one was in Indianapolis in Market Square Arena. It was Hulk Hogan versus Andre the Giant. And I've spoken on this before because Andre the Giant actually was paid off by Ted DiBiase, or the referee in the match was paid off, but it was actually the twin. So there's referees that were twins, and one of the twins was paid off to cheat Hulk Hogan out of the championship. So there's a twin symbolism there in the first one. And of course, the second one, of course, was the Twin Towers. So there's your twin symbolism there. That happened in Milwaukee. But then look at where the next one was, Detroit. And the next one was back in Indiana again. Not far from where I live. I literally live 45 minutes away from Fort Wayne. That's where I grew up, 45 minutes to an hour from Fort Wayne, Indiana. So
that's crazy, man, because my grandpa, he lives in Fort Wayne. I was there earlier this year. Yeah.
Huh. Yeah, that's not far from me at all. I mean, we go there. We just went there a few weeks ago with my mom for having Indian food. But yeah,
in Indiana, huh? Next time I'm in Fort Wayne, man, I'll hit you up. Maybe we can go to a Tin Caps game or a Mad Ants game or whatever. That'll be fun. That'll be cool.
Yeah, if I'm around.
Yeah.
Hopefully, we're gonna meet one day for sure. I don't know when it will be, but we're gonna meet one day
for sure.
But yeah, I just wanted to bring that up because that was interesting. That the last one was in Georgia, and it was featuring Hulk Hogan and Tugboat and Earthquake, and this guy just died, I think this year. Or no, not this year, 2006. But there was something that happened. Oh, he was inducted into the Hall of Fame this year, this Earthquake wrestler. Mm-hmm. But yeah, anyway, that's just interesting. And the second one happened in 1989, which of course was we were just talking about that because there was an earthquake in Oakland in 1989, and that was what was that? That was the year that this Doug Martin was just born. That was the year he was born, 1989. And then Jey Uso just wins. And the reason that I think Jey Uso's tied to this is because they have him like representing this main event, which was the name of the show. So what's the main event? Are we about ready to experience the currency reset? Which I think that's what this is all about. That's why I think the first show was in Market Square, like the markets. They're getting ready to implement a new system of money or something. The main event. But yeah, that's.
Tammy mentioned that Lewis and Clark expedition began at Fort Vincent, Indiana. It makes me think of Vince McMahon.
Mm-hmm.
So that's interesting.
Clark Kent has been in the news with Charlie Kirk, the CK, and Clark Kent.
What about Clark Kent?
Because of the name Clark. Because you were talking about the name Vincent, and I said so. The Clark is also.
Yeah.
And then Charlie Kirk's wife's name is Lois.
Yeah.
Yeah, we've talked about that. Before I forget, Spadium Viator, thank you so much for the super chat. That is very kind of you. Means a lot. You mentioned YouTube Illuminati explained in Metal Gear 2. I never played Metal Gear. I was more of a Call of Duty guy back in college. You guys would be disgusted how much time I spent playing that game. Released October 2001. It'll fill you in on who the Patriots are, and the movie The Patriot released in 2000. Oh, that's right, with Mel Gibson, right? The Patriot came out that year in 2000. I forgot. I think so. Wow. Oh my God, I forgot about that. I would have to look more into Metal Gear 2, but thank you, Spatium, for that kind donation. I really appreciate it. Yeah, we were talking about the Patriots and the Patriot Act as an example of, why can't we point out those facts to students and have them start thinking critically?
Yeah, I think I'm not sure, but I think the turning points, they're using Patriot, I think, in the title of their alternative halftime show.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. How is that even? What is that? what is that even going to look like? They're going to have like a different arena somewhere to do a halftime show and then watch the rest of the game in the second half or something.
I mean, all the world's a stage. I mean, this is divide and conquer. Yeah, you're supposed to get riled up and how racist it is. I mean, I know it is, but it's all scripted. Bad Bunny's done a halftime show. There's been a Spanish-themed halftime show before. Well, I think there was maybe one song in English. It was all in Spanish. Nobody batted an eye. No one even remembers it because it was so like, I mean, the language part was insignificant. But now they're making it so because it's part of the stage, part of the script, and anyone getting emotionally involved is in the Matrix. I mean, you're in the Matrix. You're on
that one. That one in Miami in Super Bowl 54. It was. I had read it. It was Bad Bunny with Shakira, who's mostly Spanish. I mean, or she probably mostly speaks Spanish, right?
Yeah, she's from Colombia. Yep.
Yeah. So. Yeah, I mean, is that the one you're talking about? Because I'm assuming that a lot of the songs that we're saying at that Super Bowl were probably in Spanish.
Rambo mentioned that. Yeah,
it was all in Spanish. There might have been one song with some English, but it was all in Spanish. It was a Spanish themed, and they actually use Miami for that, like in general for these kind of Spanish themes. I think they actually want to. This is kind of going into the world of soccer. You know how American sports likes to go overseas. More and more major American League sports are going overseas, like, regular season, especially the NFL. The NFL more than anyone else. But now, baseball goes over, plays, regular season meaningful games, as does the NBA. But the NFL is at another level. Now, what they're trying to do is get, the biggest leagues, outside the United States is soccer. Soccer is like the world, it's like a religion around the world. They are trying their best to get the leagues around the world to reciprocate and do a meaningful game in the United States. And the resistance there is off the charts. But they finally got Barcelona. They found a loophole. Barcelona in Spain is going to play a regular season. They don't use the term regular season, but an actual league game. The first ever, like any European league game played outside of Europe, will be held in Miami. And that's very significant. It goes along the lines of what we talked about. It's going to be between Barcelona and Villarreal. They will play in Miami, and the players are protesting. The players' union is protesting. So what happened this past weekend in Spain, in their Spanish league, all the teams except those two, except the two teams who will play in Miami, they all did a protest. So as soon as the games kicked off, the teams just stopped for 15 seconds. Like all the players on the field stopped for 15 seconds and then started the game. They did it across the league to protest it. Except the two teams will play. And again, so this is going to how Miami is, I guess they've set this up as a stage for a symbol of, I guess, Spanish or Latin American culture in the United States. And so the Super Bowl held there. I guess the scriptwriter didn't decide to make an issue of it, so everybody forgets that. This is not the first Super Bowl with Bad Bunny or the first Super Bowl where the songs are all in Spanish. But yeah, so I guess we got on this with Patriot. So turning points, of course, they haven't planned ahead, and Charlie Kirk will die, and he's this patriot, and we divide and conquer, and people who are in the Matrix will get emotionally attached on either side. You'll be riled up by these racists, or you'll say, yeah, this is the America's sport. What's more American than the Super Bowl? How dare you desecrate this English language? Or you're in the Matrix if you get emotionally involved in this. It's happening.
And it's also just the wordplay alone. Football versus football, right? Two different meanings. Two different meanings. We call it soccer in the U.S., but I would say globally, more people when they hear football, they're going to think of soccer. If you took the whole world, right?
Yeah, there's an interesting fact about that. The term soccer was actually invented in England. The English came up with that term. You think Americans came up with it? No, the English came up with it.
Wow, that's a soccer ball sitting right to your right there.
Oh yeah. So technically, football refers to multiple sports. So there's rugby. So rugby is actually a form of football. So in England, they invented rugby. They invented modern day soccer. So football was a generic term for two different sports. It's rugby and soccer. So rugby technically is called rugby football. Soccer is called association football. That's the actual technical legal term for the sport of soccer. It's association football because there's another football. Rugby is football as well. There's rugby football and association football.
Wow. Okay. So is that because inside the word association is soccer, essentially? ASSOCCIATON?
Maybe that's it. I
know.
haven't looked into how they came up with the term soccer, but it was the English, the inventors of association football, who came up with the term soccer. It just it took off in the United States, unlike anywhere else. The United States is where Americans because Americans wanted to distinguish it from their football.
Right.
But the thing is, the English did it because they wanted to distinguish between association football and rugby football. So rugby football also, yeah.
That's blowing my mind right now. Yeah, I don't know the history about it. All I know is that, out here, that's soccer to me, but it's considered football. Most people would call it would you say people in England and Spain, et cetera, like when they're going to the game, are they saying, hey, do you want to go to the football game? Or are they saying, do you want to go to the soccer game?
No, obviously, that's the thing. So even though England invented the term soccer, it never caught on in England. That term soccer never caught on. And the reason they're trying to get to catch on is to distinguish between rugby football. Because things are different now, but if we were to go back, in the early days of the invention of those two sports, if you said football, people weren't sure if you're referring to rugby.
Right.
Or people weren't sure, like what football, maybe somebody's a real rugby fan and they want to go to the football game, they end up at a soccer game, they're upset. Like you said, football. So they came up with a way of distinguishing between the two. It never caught on in England. It caught on in the United States because the Americans also wanted to distinguish between the two sports.
I gotta say this, you guys. A buddy of mine came into town. This is earlier this year, and I woke up that morning and he got up before me, so he's hanging out in the living room and he's watching rugby. And this is somebody I've known like my whole life. Like he's a volleyball guy. I'm like, he's just laying there. He's just like, hey, what's up? And I'm like, are you watching rugby right now? Because I've never even watched it. Like I know the sport. Like I could. And he's like, yeah, dude, have you ever seen this? Like, have you ever watched a game of rugby? And I'm like, no, I haven't. And I was like, and then like within 2 or 3 minutes, I asked him, like, do you know the rules? He's like, no, but just watch this. And like, when you just watch it, it is so entertaining. It like, I don't understand at all what's going on, but there's like points, just all these massive dudes like piling up. And then all of a sudden, like they'll pick them up and they're like a ballerina. Like, I'm like, what on earth am I watching? But my God, would I get my ass kicked out there?
Yeah, there are no pads.
Oh, my God. If none of you guys have watched rugby, I'm serious. Just go to YouTube and watch like 10 minutes of it. You don't even need to know the sport. Who cares? It's just it's crazy.
So, but again,
I had to say that.
Again, the official term for the sport, it's also football. Rugby is also football.
Yeah,
it's called rugby football.
Do we know, or do you happen to know if the original football known as soccer essentially came first and then rugby kind of stemmed from it? Like,
which one was invented first?
Yeah. What came first?
I don't know for sure, but I think I'll have to look it up. I think the soccer version came first. I think.
Yeah, in the time of Google, I guess we could pull it up right now, but I just thought for the sake of conversation.
Actually, we're coming up on a big anniversary for soccer. In England, that's where it was invented. So that's where the oldest leagues are. October 26th is the date of the official. That's when the official rules were ratified, I guess. I think that's the term they use. October 26th, which is a Back to the Future thing. And so we're coming up on it. Yeah, I think it's 162nd, I think, anniversary.
Oh, and it just so happens to be on NFL Sunday. Huh.
Yeah, so there could be some parallels there. And
I would say very likely.
There's some Ozzy Osbourne connections too. Like, so he's big. So Ozzy Osbourne's funeral started at Villa Park. Villa Park is the home of Aston Villa. That's actually where his funeral, we'll call it cortege, the procession. His funeral procession started at the stadium of Aston Villa. So Aston Villa Football Club has been right in the middle of I've been talking about them, but I think my patrons, even though they're not fans of soccer, can kind of see the connection. I mean, the best way to bring people in is Ozzy Osbourne. Everybody knows Ozzy Osbourne. If you're American, then you see he's very connected to English soccer. I even showed him how there was a tribute game in the Premier League where the game finished 0-0 with Everton and his Ozzy Osbourne's team. That was an Ozzy Osbourne tribute. The 0-0 were the OO of Ozzy Osbourne's initials. That's because there's the key player on his team, Ollie Watkins. That was his 227th game for Aston Villa, which is the pie number. But that's where, and the year before, 2024, Ozzy Osbourne did a promotional video for their new uniform or the new kit. They call it a kit launch video. Mm-hmm. So Aston Villa, I mean, they've really been front and center. So that's Prince William's team. And people are wondering, why is Prince William an Aston Villa fan? They're from Birmingham, the city of Birmingham, the second biggest city in England. Prince William and Prince George, his son, who's a really big Aston Villa fan. And so with Ozzy, and that's been a very significant ritual team. In fact, they're in the headlines now because they're playing in, it's called the Europa League. It's similar to the Champions League, but a lower level. It's a competition between European teams, not the Champions League. Aston Villa is hosting Maccabi Tel Aviv, and they've said, from Israel, and they've said no Maccabi Tel Aviv fans are allowed at the game, and that's caused some big. And that's Aston Villa, that's Ozzy's team. They're in the middle of everything, but they are one of the original teams in the very first league, the very first official league. That team, Aston Villa, they are one of the original founding teams of the first league, which is now blown up into like a world religion practically in the Premier League. So they're significant in that way too. They're one of the original teams back in 1888. But yeah, so on the football thread, I guess that's how we got on that. And the Patriot, we also got on the Patriot thing, but yeah.
Yeah, definitely. Broken Frame Story says the traditional soccer ball design, like the one behind you, Rambo, is called a truncated icosahedron, a geometric solid made of pentagons and hexagons. Yeah, I always thought, I mean, I think like most people, right, understanding secret societies and whatnot, it looks a lot like the Freemasonic checkerboard floor, but the checkerboard floor is squares, right?
I never even thought about that.
Yeah.
No, you mentioned, I'd never thought about it. No, yeah, but then, okay, where was soccer, the rules ratified? It was at Freemasons Tavern on Great Queen Street in London.
It was called Freemasons Tavern? Are you serious?
That's the name. It's Freemasons Tavern. That's where the rules of the game were ratified. It's on Great Queen Street. That's the same street on which you have the Mother Lodge of the United Grand Lodge of England. It's on Great Queen Street. Soccer was invented on that same street.
Oh my God!
I mean, it's not a surprise. I mean, Freemasons have invented a bunch of stuff. I mean,
that's where modern Freemasonry was established.
Yeah,
right?
English language Freemasonry. You have continental Freemasonry. That's from Europe, mostly Germany, France, Italy. Yeah, that's separate. So this is more like English language, but.
And it just makes me think about the duality in black and white, right? And like we have the Prince Hall Freemasonry, right? Which is for, the black community essentially versus the white community. And I always thought that was kind of strange. Like brotherhood, I mean, if you're a Mason, you're a Mason, I guess. Like why did they break it off like that?
Yeah, I mean, so yes. So these things started long in the past and then things evolve. Like, of course, back in those days, things like segregation weren't an issue. Yeah. Segregation was not an issue. That was a thing you did. Then, things evolve, and then I guess Freemasonry was the same. It's segregated. And also it segregates by gender, too.
Sure.
So it's not
because you have the Order of the Eastern Star.
Yeah, so it's segregated by male, female, and by black, white. But the thing is, in modern day, you do have some Freemason lodges that do integrate blacks and whites together. But if they go to the Grand Lodge of England, and again, I'm not a Freemason, I just study these. Anyone, if they're curious, can find this stuff out.
Right.
If you go to the Grand Lodge of England, some Freemasons will find that they don't recognize you. It's like this with all sorts of esoteric organizations, they're more, they always dispute as to, is this one holding to the original or whatever mission. There always be disputes. Some want to break away and say, no, you guys are kind of bogus. So we're sticking to and those things happen. But the United Grand Lodge of England does not recognize the racially integrated lodges. It is not. So if you have a lodge where blacks and whites can mix, you go to England, you go to the Great Queen Street, they'll tell you, we don't recognize you.
It is interesting too that, like you said, the English form of Freemasonry, right? It was established in England in 1717, and we know how the number 59 is very big related to Black history, and it's the 17th prime. So I don't know. That just kind of hit my brain thinking about that. But Cody, you still out there, brother? I know it's muted, but just wanted to check in on you, man. I said you're muted. I don't know if he's there, but it's all good. It's all good.
Wait, yeah, I'm here. I'm here. I always forget I'm muted, but it's just, I'm just listening because I didn't know a lot about any of this. So I'm just taking it in. And the one interesting thing that you guys mentioned, or that I've noticed during this, is the soccer ball is the 5 and the 6, right? Like makes me think of the huge 56. It's like the 5, the pentagon is the 5 and the hexagon is the 6. So the 56, like mind control, like Society of Jesus, like that 56 is huge. So I think there's probably a reason why that there's 5s and 6s on the soccer ball.
Well, you got 5, 6, then you got 6, 7, and then you got, right? It's almost like, you can just chop the 2 repeating digits, and there's pretty significant alignments with each of those numbers.
Yeah.
We talked about 23, 2, 3. The Mariners just lost 3-4. You get my point. 4 or 5.
Didn't the hockey team? The hockey teams played Toronto and Seattle a few days earlier, and that score was 3-4 too.
Oh wow, I didn't know that.
I think I just heard that on Zach's stream, but I remember like the few days before that score, the final score between Toronto Maple Leafs and the Seattle Kraken was 3-4 also. But I think it was the other way around. I think it was actually Seattle that won that game.
Well, it goes back to that duality thing that you were just talking about. And that's just another example of if you can get enough ahead of it and think about it, you go, oh, okay, hold on. So the Seattle team's playing the Toronto team 2 days before it, right? Like you can get ahead of it. And a lot of times we've seen that too.
Yeah, it's just the problem with all that is there's just so much to keep track of. This is why I get overwhelmed when looking into sports and trying to figure out what's going to happen. There's so much to keep track of. And if you're not completely on it, then you're going to miss something it's a key piece. And then after the fact, when you look back, you're like, yeah, I could have found that. But man, like when you're first looking at it, you got to spend so many hours like putting all these pieces together, all these different games, the teams, the records, the stats, the whatever. It gets very overwhelming to me.
And all 3 of us have had, between the 3 of us or just one-on-one, we've talked about different games and like, well, I see this and this makes a lot of sense for this team. And then of course you got to look at both sides. And I just remember early on, I was like, man, if I could really just learn more and more and more, like this is going to get easier, but it's kind of the opposite because now there's so much more to consider,
Yeah.
So I totally get what you're saying. It's challenging because at the end of the day, you got to, like, if you're going to place a sports bet or a pick or whatever, or put out a future, at some point you got to make a decision, but we're at that 238 mark. Michael Jeffrey Jordan equals 238. Kobe Bryant born on 23/8. I think this is a good stopping point. You guys covered a lot of ground. Rambo, thank you so much for that that little class session of the football example and us talking about, the Spanish Armada and just like the different things to think about, all that Bad Bunny stuff. goes way farther beyond Donnie Darko. That was just the first thing I thought about. But go ahead.
I can't believe the guy's name is Ocasio, and we got the Casio
Yeah.
watch. That's something I'm gonna have to really think about. That's crazy, really.
Yeah, I've got a ton of
definitely a
stuff.
time thing.
Yeah, I've done a ton of stuff on the Alice in Wonderland connections. I mean, I'm not going to do one because I do the video form. Videos takes a long time to edit. I probably take 3 weeks to put out the video. So I'll just put bit by bit. But I noticed that right away with the time thing. He's the March Hare. The March Hare is the best friend of the Mad Hatter who's stuck in time. He murdered time. But that was his sin. The Mad Hatter tried to sing to the Queen, and it was so bad. They say he murdered time, and his punishment is to be stuck at 6 p.m. at a tea party for the rest of his life. And that's what I noticed the Casio thing. But so Mia, okay, I'll just give a little tidbit. Mia, so Arabic is connected to this because they have the hookah pipe, which is what the caterpillar smokes a hookah pipe. Hookah pipes are, they're from Arabic tradition. Mia in Arabic means 100, and that's a big clue. Arabic is related. Mia means 100. So the name Ocasio sums to 100 in Gematria too. And that's part of this as well. So he has to sing Mia. I don't see how he doesn't sing Mia. And if he does do Mia, Drake has to be there. And if he does it, it has to be the last song because you can't do it earlier and then remove Drake from the stage. I'm saying he ends the halftime show with the song Mia and Drake comes on.
Well, Rambo, to that point, right? Most artists or bands or groups or whatever, their encore or their closing song is always like the one that, is, I would argue, not usually their most popular song at the time. It's like the most popular song that put them on the map. And to your point, like Mia is that song for him. So.
Yeah. So much. And then I'll give another connection with the Mia.
Yeah,
there's an Arabic connection. It's because because Mia means 100 in Arabic. Guess what Super Bowl ended the 100th NFL season? That's 6 Super Bowls ago. We're on Super Bowl 106. Super Bowl 100 is it was basically the 100th NFL season ended with Super Bowl 54. And they had a big on the field in Miami. They had a big 100 in the middle of the field.
Yeah.
Mia means 100 in Arabic. And Ocasio is 100. So that's a big part of it. That's a very and where's so this is what I think. I see some 49ers clues as well because there's one Arab figure in the NFL, very prominent. There aren't many Arab Americans in the NFL. There is one, and that's Saleh. Robert Saleh, who was the former head coach of the.
Oh, yeah.
Now he's the defensive coordinator for the 49ers.
He was coaching the Jets, right?
He was head coach of the Jets. They say Aaron Rodgers kind of undercut him behind the scenes.
Right.
But I think he's a factor in this too. He could be. There's an Arabic connection here because Mia is 100. That's Bad Bunny. That's the end of the 100th NFL season. So yeah, just some of my decode. I'm giving you already a good chunk of the decode. But yeah, he has to sing that. I don't see how he doesn't perform that song. I just don't. I mean, with all the Ocasio, yeah. So that's some time and Casio. Ocasio is 100. Yeah.
Of course, he has that January 31st birthday, 131. Super Bowl equals 131. Championship 131.
Exactly, and that's from Back to the Future. The number in Back to the Future. The locomotive 131, and he says the final stop is San Francisco, and he ties in Saleh. So that actually brings in the Arabic stuff. So this is the key Arabic term. It's the Arabic term for 100, which is Mia. How does he not perform that song? And it has to be the last song. I mean, I just don't see how. Brings in Drake.
Right. So for those listening out there that are interested in putting a feature out, that there are certain betting apps out there where you can bet on what songs is Bad Bunny going to perform. I think most people would probably just, even those asleep, they'll be like, but Mia's the best, like his most popular song. Of course he's going to play it. But there could even be like, will Drake be at the Super Bowl? Things to think about.
Yeah, that's the song that launched him. That was his first top 10.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cody, you going to say something?
No, I just noticed a lot of 100s today when I was looking into stuff. So that's why it was interesting that the 100 was coming up. I mean, the Ocasio, obviously, but I had just typed in Doug Martin's name, which sums to 100 in reduction, his full name. And then Jay Uso is his catchphrase day one ish equals one, or actually no, it equals 55. But I got it mixed up. It was yeah, it is. Never mind. It is day one ish. Day one ish equals 100 also. So I don't know. I just had a lot of 100s come up today, so that's why I thought it was interesting that we're talking about 100 now. But it's interesting that 10 times 10 is 100, so we got the 10-10 kind of connection there.
Yep.
But like just like the fives and 10 stuff. Like I got a lot of like 55 and 10 and these numbers. I just had a lot in the last couple hours, so that's why I was wondering more about that.
Yeah, so I think 100 is a number to look out for. And again, the number in Alice in Wonderland is the number 106. That's the number in the movie. On the Mad Hatter's hat, 106. That's the most direct connection to Alice in Wonderland. And then you have Bad Bunny. Now I'm thinking Alice in Wonderland is even stronger connection. Well, as strong, I'd say. You can't deny Back to the Future. Alice in Wonderland is just as strong.
But Alice in Wonderland, Donnie Darko, Back to the Future, all of them are time themes.
Exactly. Yeah,
right? So like with now what we just talked about with the Ocasio connection, I mean, my God, you guys.
So Super Bowl 60. Super Bowl 60, 50 seconds in a minute, 60 minutes in an hour,
Exactly. Yeah.
Well, the time travel thing, the time thing is a theme that's throughout almost all movies. I mean, that's why the Terminator movie was also October 26th. It came out, and then so did Donnie Darko, and then the movie Back to the Future, it happens on 10/26 where they travel, and that's also why that 10/26 day is so big, and that was a lot of the gematria that's coming up with Charlie Kirk is Prove Me Wrong equals 10/26, Turning Point USA equals 10/26. Mathematics of a circle, Derek always talks about that, equals 10/26. And then this thing that's getting ready to cut, we're getting ready to it's going to be 10/26 here in a few days. So that's actually also CM Punk's birthday, the guy who's from Chicago that Jey Uso is going to wrestle next week. So there's that date that date is always coming up, that 10/26.
Yeah, but a reminder, that's the official anniversary of the ratification of the rules of football, association football. It's October 26th. Right. The anniversaries, so it should be interesting. I don't know if I can see something ahead of time. I got to look again at the schedules for like NFL and Premier League. Also around the world, because it's a world global thing. It might be, one of those things where after the fact, like, oh yeah, that was it. Hopefully I don't have to. But.
Well, and 10/26 is also 126, right? Taking the zero out in numerology. Big Kobe number who died on 126. Just so you guys know, when the Blue Jays punched their ticket to the World Series, it was exactly 126 days after Kendrick Lamar's birthday.
Oh, that's this Sunday too, isn't it?
That's what I'm saying. It's an NFL Sunday. So you got American football playing on, the quote unquote birthday, I guess you could kind of say, about the latest rules of football.
Yeah.
So
that's going to be an interesting day now to watch. I'll have to look at the games too and see. That would be 40 years since they traveled, I think.
Yeah, 40. Since you mentioned 40, 40 is another one. It's the 40th anniversary of Back to the Future. It's the 40th anniversary of Air Jordan. Until which Air Jordan will be, it's maybe the 40th anniversary until November 17th. So those are the two, and we've seen the 40 tributes already. The 40-40 tie between the Packers and the Cowboys. Then you had the two quarterbacks in their 40s on Monday Night Football.
Oh, that's right.
Flacco and Rodgers. Yeah, Flacco and Rodgers. That was the big thing about that was that.
And as I've mentioned, is that the WWE right now, every one of their main stars, almost everyone, is born in 1985. They're all 40 right now. Like Cody Rhodes is 40, Roman Reigns is 40. This guy I just talked about all night, Jey Uso, he's 40. As long as his twin is also 40. And then the other guy that's fighting Cody Rhodes in a few weeks is Drew McIntyre. He's 40. Another guy that's on the main stage right now, Rusev, he's like almost every single one of the main stage people was born in 1985. That's what I noticed a few years ago. So that means they're all in the same 40-year period with that movie.
And Cody Drake will turn 39 this Friday on the 24th, game 1 of the World Series, meaning he'll be entering his 40th year of life.
Yeah. And Jake's producer is named 40.
What?
Yeah, I did a decode on the number 40 at the Super Bowl. His producer is named 40, like the number 40. That's his, obviously not his real name, but his producer is 40. But remember, Jalen Hurts put up 40, or the Philadelphia Eagles offense put up 40 points at the Super Bowl because he was debuting the Air Jordan 1s, and Air Jordan was celebrating his 40th year.
This is why this is my favorite night of the week. I mean, literally every single week when we do this, like, boom, Ocasio stuff, and then the 40 and Drake. I didn't know that. Oh, my God.
There's also a protest during Kendrick Lamar's halftime show. One of the dancers, he pulled out a Palestinian flag and a Sudanese flag to protest Palestine and the war in Sudan, and they tackled him on the 40-yard line. That was in my I had an Instagram decode on that one. He was tackled on the 40-yard line. This is all the 40s going on, and that's the big thing in 40s. Which along those lines of the Palestine thing. The father of King Solomon is King David. King David reigned for 40 years. King Solomon reigned for 40 years. So that ties that in as well.
That's unbelievable.
40 days and 40 nights.
Yep.
Hold on a second. How old's LeBron James? Isn't he 40? Or is he?
No, he would be 40, wouldn't he? Because he's born in 1984.
Well, he's 40 right now. He's 40. Yeah. So he'll turn 41 on the 30th this year.
Okay, yeah, there's another 40.
So LeBron's 40, father time, 23rd NBA season.
Because he's born on the pretty much like the last days of the year, he kind of like started the year 1985. So all these wrestlers that were born in 1985, he was kind of like the first one. He kind of like led the way, LeBron James.
Right.
So, yeah, that's why I'm saying that the reason the WWE has all these wrestlers that are 40 right now is because it's all tied to whatever all this 40 stuff's going on. And being that, you know, we're 40 years from Back to the Future, you know, and WrestleMania 40 was in Philadelphia, and it was Cody Rhodes versus Roman Reigns, who are both now 40. And that was right after that Great American Eclipse, that match, WrestleMania 40. Or it was right before, actually. So, and that was in Philadelphia, so I'm wondering how that ties into. That was in Lincoln Financial Field, actually. That was in the Eagles Stadium. And then the Super Bowl, then that's what ended up happening was that WrestleMania was a clue for the Eagles the next year winning.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Shout out to Apache, Moses, 40 years in the desert.
Yeah.
40 days, 40 nights, right? I'm sure there's a movie called 40 Days, 40 Nights. Should probably look into that movie. Yep. Numbers says watch LeBron most likely come back against the Utah Jazz. That was the other thing, right? We've been talking about this a little bit lately, right? With all the King James Bible, 1566, 1611. LeBron James is on the doorstep of recording 1,611 career games all time. Shout out to Myron. He got game. We're working on setting up a date and time for a follow-up kind of video or live stream for that particular topic, but something to think about. But of course, LeBron's now out until like late November. So just got to keep an eye on that. What date and what team is he actually going to be playing against?
That he's really out till late November?
Yeah, like November 18th or something is now his estimated return date.
Wow, that's interesting.
Yeah.
Well, so that means how many games is he away from that again?
I think it's like 5 games. It's a small amount of games. I'd have to go back and double check, but I want to say it's like, 5.
Oh, because I have to look too, because for some reason I thought he was at like 15. Maybe I was thinking of somebody else. I don't know, because I thought he was farther off than that. But I'm sure you're more on it than I am because you look at it more often. So
I'm gonna look it up right now.
Is it including playoffs or not including playoffs?
I'm pretty sure it's including. Let me check. No, okay, I take that back. I think it's regular season. So here we go. Okay, yeah. So he's sitting on 1,562 games. So he's 4 games away from that 1566.
Okay, yeah. So I thought you were talking about the 1611, but you're talking about the 1566.
Yeah, well, there is a big 1611 alignment with I think it was Robert Parrish. Yeah, I'm gonna have to get back with Myron on that, but that we're looking out for the.
Well, I've talked about this 1566 because again, that's the year King James was born, but this is also the Golden Gate Bridge connection. So I'm wondering if they end up making it that he plays his 1566 game against the Golden State Warriors, that would be ridiculous.
Well, because tonight's opening night, by the way, in the NBA, and of course it's Lakers Warriors,
right? But the Golden Gate Bridge took 1,566 days to build. That's why. And Kobe Bryant played 1,566 games. So it would be ridiculous if they ended up making if it somehow ends up aligning that game will be against Golden State. So I'll have to look and see if that's possible and if he's supposed to come back around November and when that will align. But
I'll pull this up right now. Let's assume he does come back November 18th. So that would be oh my God, shout out numbers. I think you called it because maybe you saw that estimated return date. But yeah, November 18th is his expected return date. And if that happens, he'll be playing against Utah. Don't forget, Kobe played his last game against Utah. Jordan played his last game with the Bulls, at least against Utah.
By the way, that WWE main event thing that's coming up with Jey Uso and CM Punk, that's in Utah.
Of course it is. R.I.P. Charlie.
Of course.
But so let's just assume he comes back on the 18th. So it would be back-to-back games against Utah. First one would be in LA. Second one would be at Utah on the 23rd. And then his third game back would be against the Clippers in LA. And if he does come back, and if he does play consecutively 4 games and comes back on the 18th, then the date we're looking at is Friday, November 28th against Dallas. Against the Mavericks. But I mean, this could change tomorrow, right? Like there's a lot of time between now and November 18th where we'll see. Yeah, we'll see what happens. That's assuming, comes back on that date and he ends up playing. Like this whole load management era now too. So
the final score was 119 to 109.
Los Angeles 109. Charlie Kirk 10-9.
Looks like Luka Doncic went off.
Yep.
43 points. 41 minutes, 43 points, 12 rebounds, 9, almost a triple-double. So, yeah, he went off.
I mean, when I think of Dallas, though, right, like it would be Luka playing against his former team, right?
Yeah.
He could have something to do with that ritual too, if that's ultimately what happens. But I'm not hanging my hat on that being the game that he plays his 1,566 regular season game.
It doesn't look like he's going to be playing. There's no other Golden State. If I'm looking at this correctly, there's no other. They don't play the Golden State Warriors again for a while. Right?
Yeah. I mean, that doesn't surprise me, especially since they kicked off the season playing them tonight.
So February 7th, right before the Super Bowl?
Oh, there you go.
So they're playing Golden State right before the Super Bowl on February 7th.
There you go. Well, and then isn't 103 the 27th prime? I might be off by one. Yeah. So I say 103 because of Bad Bunny's birthday, 10-3.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So yeah, I mean, I don't know what but it'll be interesting to see what team he ends up playing that against, and then the 16-11, that's farther down the pike, but we'll see.
Right, but that's the thing, right? I mean, he's very, very likely to hit both of those numbers before he hangs it up. You know what I mean? First one being the 1566. So
yeah, the 16-11 will be. I don't know if you think he's going to play another year?
I mean, at this point, I'm not sold either way. Being honest, it would make a lot of sense for him to retire in his 23rd season. You know, wearing number 23 and all that.
Yeah,
but I mean, what's the quick math on that? How many games is he on right now? 15. What was it? 1562.
Yeah.
So that means he's currently. I mean, dude, he's 49 games away from getting to that 16-11. The season alone is 82 games. Sure, he's going to be sitting out quite a bit to start the season, but
yeah, I'm just wondering, what if he ends his career with 16-11? Is
that
possible?
Would be nuts.
Is that possible? Like we don't have to do that now, but I'm gonna try to calculate that because that would be nuts. Kobe Bryant played 1566 games, like that was.
And watch LeBron finish with 16-11, dude. Wow. So
that, I mean, again, if that happens, here, go back to this stream and look it up. This is where you heard it. If that ends up happening, but I'm not saying it will, but that would be very obvious.
Yeah, no kidding. That would be one of the biggest alignments. I don't know. I would love to pick Myron's brain on that, especially because the last that him and I were talking about this, this is before this injury apparently that he's going through.
Yeah.
But yeah, let's wrap it up here. Hey, Codes, just a final reminder to the chat, our audience. Just let folks know what you're working on. When can we see you next, and where can people find you and support you, my friend?
Yeah, once again, thanks, guys, Rambo and AJ, for being on here with me. I appreciate you both, and thanks to everyone that sits and listens to us every week. You guys can find me Decoding with Cody and on YouTube, and buymeacoffee.com/decoding with Cody. And yeah, not going to have a lot of decodes this week, but have some stuff down the pike for people I'm going to be working on. So I don't know. We'll see. But this week, I'm going to be kind of busy, but we'll see what happens. But thanks again for everyone listening, and can't wait for next Tuesday.
As always. Yeah. Love you, Cody. Appreciate you always jumping on every week. Had a blast with you guys as always. Rambo, let the audience know where they can find you, and what else you got working on. Things to look forward to over on the Patreon.
Yeah, well, thanks again. I agree with what Cody said, and I appreciate Cody being here again and sharing his knowledge, and you, AJ, again, sharing your knowledge and putting the whole thing together, most importantly. This wouldn't be happening without you, AJ, so thank you again.
Thank you, kind sir.
And well, the big thing I have now, I mean, there's still other things. So I still have the write-up on Patreon now. It's the code is called Madness, and it's about the Ford symbolism. I know the one of the listeners commented on the Atlanta shooter. I took a few brief looks, and they did not mention the make and model of the truck. So he might have seen maybe like he saw somewhere. I haven't seen them mention a different model of truck, but his truck was part of it. So
make sure to click the images tab, like on Google, right? Because sometimes there will be different photos they pull from different articles.
Yeah. It also could have been sometimes a TV report where they'll say he went back to his Ford F-150. They might just say it, but I haven't seen where they name any other make or model. So it's a good chance that was part of it. But that's still the decode I have now. It's titled Madness. It's again, we're talking about number 40. It's a 40-minute video. It's actually 39.
Oh, it's 40, huh?
Well, no, that's like 39 minutes and and a half-ish. I'm just rounding it off to 40. That's the full video, but that's what it's about, the code, the Ford code, the presidential assassination code. It ties into Charlie Kirk and Donald Trump and the 1010 code that showed up in the music video that Erica Kirk did. So that's what that's about. You saw the clip there, and there's always more on Charlie Kirk. I have a lot more on that, and you saw about in Sydney Sweeney. She's another one where so much is tied to her. But I guess the big one now would be the Alice in Wonderland connections and the deeper meanings to that. It's a classic for a reason, and it's tied into. So when I talk about madness, one of the things I'm referring to also in that title is all MK Ultra and the mental realm. And Alice in Wonderland is part of that. It ties into the Matrix. The whole thing, the Matrix is based primarily on the allegories of Alice in Wonderland. Wonderland is the Matrix. So much goes into that. And I'll be doing, I guess, work primarily around those things. And again, I can be found on patreon.com/thetruthcodes. But if you're a member there, you can have access to the Discord channel, and you can also see the constant decoding by other patrons. Great decoding is available there and on Instagram. So yeah, thanks to both you and Kodi and the audience again.
Absolutely, Rambo. Always a blessing and a pleasure to have you in our corner every week. We're all busy. We all got things going on, but it means a lot for you guys to carve out some time and hang out and bounce ideas off of each other, add to each other's findings. And I can't remember the last time I haven't laughed just in amazement of we find one thing and then it just grows into just something amazing. And it's not even just us three, right? I mean, the chat, you guys are incredible. Thank you guys so much. I mean, to echo what Rambo was saying, his Discord is amazing as well. It's the same idea where it's just an amazing group of people that all have eyes to see in different ways. And this is all about linking arms and supporting each other and growing and sharing each other's work where we can. Once again, shout out Sean Desad. I'm going to be looking into that Spin City or whatever. That very short clip was very interesting and touching on all those different topics from Superman to, the bunny and so on and so forth. So shout out Apache, shout out Joseph, Coffee Girl, Maggie, all you guys. You guys are the best. Thank you again so much. Please make sure to hit that like and subscribe and the share wherever you guys see fit. And without further ado, we'll see you guys on the next one. Take care, everybody.
Grim bloke. Yeah. And then, yeah, bruv. Yeah. Yeah, bruv. In it. Grim bloke. Let me tell you about this one time. I went through a porthole and snuck into the North Pole and got picked up in a Hyperborean DeLorean. They said they knew I was a Webster Merriam historian, master the numerical Gregorian, the hysterical mystic, no more than a Pythagorean, conspiracy theory Ethereum in the etheric fear realm. I thought they were gonna take me to the crematorium in their Hyperborean DeLorean. Tested me on my Sumerian, Shakespearean, knew I was a numerical vegetarian, Aquarian, that I knew about the Tartarians, barbarians, Mars radium, aliens. Salt of the earth, solution Selenian. Spent the night in a Hyperborean chamber. I looked around and thought, bruv, who hired the painter? Hyperborean memoriam, auditorium, all cause I got picked up in the Hyperborean DeLorean. Introducing